Becoming one. For this reason, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his own wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Becoming One, a program designed to strengthen marriages, challenge couples, and reignite our passion for loving, godly relationships. Join us as we discuss kingdom marriage principles on Becoming One, hosted by the Sabazans. Becoming One.
Welcome, welcome. It is such a beautiful, beautiful evening in the Isle of Spice. And as we say, where everything is nice in Jesus Christ. So, welcome to Becoming One. We are the Sabazans, and as you can see, we have a beautiful couple with us this evening. They are the Thompsons. They are no strangers to you. They are no strangers to Becoming One. So we want to welcome the Thompsons this afternoon. Welcome again to Becoming One.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
It's great to be
It's
here.
good to be on this
All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Guys, so we have a wonderful program as usual in store for you tonight. We want you to tag a friend, call a friend, maybe just let them know that Becoming One is on. It's the marriage program, and it's not just for married couples, don't forget.
Yeah,
It is for singles as well, because we're preparing singles for marriage as well, right?
that's right. Someone might ask, is it for the divorced people too?
It is
Of
for
course.
everybody.
It's for of course.
Everybody. I would say for everybody. Somebody will be able to learn something from this program tonight. So as we said, tag a friend, share the link with someone, share the live with someone, let them know that Becoming One is on. And as usual, we want to be able to interact with you, so you can send in your comments, send in your questions. We want to be able to interact with you tonight. Is no different. It has been a while. Well, not really a while, but a whole month. A whole month is a while. And we know that last time we were here, we were preparing to go to our Epic in St. Lucia, and it has been a success because for the months of February and so even during the month of January, we had some programs with Doctors Tanasha and Jason Gray, and it has been a success. And we want to thank all of you who have prayed for us, those of you who contributed in whatever way, your words of affirmation, your words of everything is going to be well, and just the prayers. We really appreciate and we want to thank you. And we continue to prepare for Epic coming up also in October. So we would like your prayers, your continued prayers for that. But tonight, we're not so much focusing on Epic. Tonight, we're talking about lessons learned in marriage. And we want you to be able to learn something tonight. So it's two married couples here just discussing. You realize that we, in our new little niche, we like on the couch these days. So we on the couch, all right? We relax in a relaxed mood.
Becoming One on the couch.
Yes. So we want to just have a really nice conversation this evening, just talking about the lessons that we have learned personally from our marriage. All right. At some point in our program, we would allow you, those of you out there, you're married and you want to share with us some of the lessons you learned, you're welcome to do that as well. All right. So how we starting off tonight?
Well, of course, let me say good night and let me give our guests tonight an opportunity to greet our guests.
After you.
Well, a pleasant good night to everybody out there, Radio Land, YouTube, Facebook.
Mhm.
It's really great to be with you tonight.
Yes.
All right.
And we have a lot we can share because we have some years together.
Yes.
This year will be 30 years.
Right. And that's a good place to start.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years of experience and things
Yes.
that you've learned, I'm sure.
Okay. I think oftentimes we see lessons. We coached into thinking that lessons could only be
Bad.
no positives.
Oh,
You could only learn from positive things.
okay.
Mm.
But so many times you learn from
Negative
some of the
things,
mistakes you make.
the
right?
challenges.
So, yeah. And,
Sure.
and that oftentimes is what people want to know about,
Mhm.
but we try to cover that up
Ah.
because
we want to
shame,
appear.
we want to
Yeah.
appear perfect.
Yes,
You
it's
know?
true.
Um,
It's true.
we want to appear as though we're the perfect couple,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes that is
Meat.
that is not really the case. It's from the stumblings,
True.
you know,
Yeah, perfection comes.
from so then the bad choices,
Yes.
decisions you make.
Yes.
Is where your greatest lessons come and where you could really impact lives.
Oh my!
You know?
You said a whole lot there, because to me, if you learn something, you learn something. It's not just for you.
Exactly.
You learn something, you want to be able to teach it to others or let other people know. Listen, I was going down the road there and there's a big stone there. So don't pass that way. Pass around this way or take the left instead because you might just stumble and fall there. All right. So you learned something that there's a big stone down the road there. And if you might not see it, but look out for it and go to the left instead of the right, or go to the right, or take you learn something and you want to be able to share it with others. So tonight, we are talking about lessons that we have learned in our marriage. And as Pastor Thompson said, that's sometimes people don't like sharing the negative things, but negative things we learn from both positive and negative things. So tonight we're sharing on both positive things that we've learned from and negative things that we have learned from. The fact of the matter is, when anybody is going into a marriage, there are some things that you desire, right? There are some expectations that you have, whether or not you expect your husband to be a certain way, you expect your wife to be doing this. There are expectations that we all have, all right? And I think the expectation comes from the society that we grew up in,
Yeah.
the family that we have, our background. There are
Sometimes the movies you watch.
the movies we watch, Hollywood. All right, yes, that is true.
Yeah.
There are so many expectations we have, and they come from many different things. And then when you get into the marriage, reality hits. So it's either that you get what you expected, or you don't quite get what you expected, and in a negative light. So possibly your husband or your wife may surpass what you expected.
Sometimes you're disappointed.
And sometimes you're disappointed. This is really not
this is what I wanted.
this is not what I thought marriage would be like. And even in thinking about this program, I was telling my husband, listen, some people go into a marriage kind of like with the Cinderella kind of expectation. We're just going to get married and it will be happily ever after. What happens next?
I believe in happily ever after.
I just think it's a view. Like, too many people think that if something seems to be not going wrong, that is not going right, that is not perfect.
Right.
So I understood to kind of think about that. Because it seems as though it's going wrong, it's not perfect. I think every negative thing that you may encounter in your relationship or opportunities for growth. So it all boils down to your view on the situation.
True.
Right? Your spouse may need help.
Yes.
You understand? And you might be thinking, that is a stumbling block that you cannot get over. Well, At the end of the day, it just depends on how you view it, how you deal with it. You understand? And if you ask for help because you can help the person yourself, then it can make a difference. The negative thing could turn out to be something you laugh at, a place you don't want to go back to, something you would be like really happy to tell somebody about that particular mistake you were making. And no, you
but
can see.
but to be quite honest, I think that as Lionel spoke to that issue of the Cinderella, I think we have to get real. We have been fed some garbage.
Yes, true. True.
And we, you read these books and you really come out to the opinion that you will live happily ever after. Because the perception it gives you is that before you get married is when all the hardship is, the tough things. We see that in, before you get married, there's a hard life. Cinderella had a tough life, and then the Prince Charming come and that's another false narrative that everybody you're married should be rich, to be wealthy. You understand? To be a ruler, a prince.
Yes.
Of course,
Prince Charming.
we have of course we are prince and princesses in the sight of God. But we were really, I think they really did a disservice to us.
Fooled us. They really fooled us.
Well, look at that. Early in our marriage, and we started to take a note because we're talking about lessons in marriage.
Yes.
I used to get a lecture.
Right.
This is not a movie. This is not Hollywood. This is not the Mills and Boons. So I had to take notes because my husband giving me the lecture of what this marriage is about. So you better face reality as soon as you can.
Reality.
I just spoke about it. I remember that.
That's the first lesson I get.
Oh yeah, you got a lesson what it is not.
What it is not.
And that's an important lesson because oftentimes people don't qualify what a marriage is supposed to be about and what it is in God's sight. You understand? Especially those of us who are believers and we claim to be believers. You understand? And yet still some of us don't want to follow what we say we believe, where God's word is concerned.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just like a scripture I read this morning, right? And I want to share it because it's amazing, right? In Romans chapter 2, we read that scripture this morning. If you go down, he says, to those who, by persistent in doing good, seek glory, honor, and immortality, right? He will give eternal life if you seek that. And you can go ahead. It's for those but for those who are self-seeking, who reject the truth and follow evil, there will be wrath and anger. There will be trouble and distress for every human who does evil. Right? And it tells us who. But if you pay attention a little bit more, there is those who reject truth to follow evil. So there are many persons now, they know the truth, where God was is concerned, where marriage is concerned, right? But they reject the truth to go on a different path that gives them a different result. So you get where I'm coming from, right? So some of them they don't just reject it, but they act like if they don't know it, or some of them pretend very well that they know it, and really and truly they don't. So marriage must be built on truth, and God's truth. If we establish that, and it's established.
I agree.
We have a different
that word
scenario.
truth. I think for me, when we just got married, I had to come to the realization that this is a covenant, right? Truth we have made. It's for life, and because also we are believers, we're gonna have some fights, and some battles, and so we have to be prepared that we're not living in a fantasy world. It's not a dream. And then one day we wake up and say, what am I doing here?
I think that is number one lesson to be learned. It's not a dream world. It's not a fantasy. Number one lesson. Not a dream world.
It's real.
It's real.
You live in a real life.
Reality.
Yeah. And I have differences. She have differences, and we have to bring that together to make it work. And it's not even for our glory. It's for the glory of God. because every failed marriage does not glorify God.
That is true.
That's the bottom line. I don't care what you say. It doesn't bring no glory to God when a covenant that God has ordained fails.
Yeah.
You know?
And there are also a lot of that beauty being consistent and patient in marriage.
Boy.
That's how you will see, you'll be able to go through it and see it getting better every time, and seeing that you're actually becoming one.
Right.
Yeah, because with all that is what have happened over the years, you're finally coming to that place where you're getting to know each other.
Right. And I like the point of consistency, right? Because when things are happening and you're not consistent and you keep working, how are we going to think about going up a hill? Think about you want to be able to get to the top of that mountain. And if you are not persistent, if you're not consistent, and you say, boy, you reach a certain part of gosh, now I have done that now. You are never going to reach the top. You are never going to be able to behold the beauty of when you get to the top there, or behold maybe some things along the way that you'll be able to discover, things that will be able to, it's the beauty of God's creation. I'm just giving the illustration of the mountain so that we can understand that persistency. I like that. Being consistent and persistent, because that is why, and that is how a lot of people give up. And then the covenant goes down the drain because we do not stick to it. The hard times come, oh gosh, I can't take it. We got to forget it. Let's throw in the towel.
On a journey, you can't quit on the journey. In the middle of the journey, you keep thinking of looking back.
So I want us to kind of like start to narrow down some things. So in terms of things that we have learned in our own marriage. I think I have some lessons that I have learned. Some of them were the hard way, you know. Some was easy. And when we open the conversation, sometimes people see you and they may assume that, hey, well, you seem to have it well put together. I love to see how you're moving. I love this. I love that. And it looks like, a better rose on the outside. And people don't understand the work you have to put in on a daily basis to get what you want. What they see, right? It's not even for you to glory in. It's basically for those of us who have a good relationship. For years, we can see the fruits of a relationship. You can see there is only fruit if labor takes place. If a man now working, a woman now working on what that God has blessed them with, and that's your family in turn, because you can tell based on how the children, a lot of times what happens in that family. So when you see, when you have a nuclear family, and you see those type of things, that person say, this is a good family, this is some, this man and his wife, I just love to see them and how they do and how they represent them, But that didn't just come just like that. A lot of people don't know the work, as I'm saying, that happened in the background. Yeah. So let us kind of like track back in our relationship and see how we can like come up to this point if we can. Feel free to share whatever comes to your mind. It's up to you. And from the time you got married, what happened? I can share my story. I want to share your story. I'd ask some person to send us some of their story. So forget them. If you're watching tonight, you didn't know what you promised to do, you didn't do. Right? But what I'm saying is we can just go back. You guys have been married for 30 years. 31. Right? 30 years. Right. And how did you got married?
23rd of July 1985.
23rd.
Right. So you got married.
Right.
1985.
95.
Okay. We got married 25th of July. What is this boy? Okay.
25th of July.
Yeah, 2009. Right? So my wife think I don't know when I got married. Right? So this year is going to be 17 years now. Okay. All right. So for me, if I should start, because I feel like the first decade of our relationship, there are some important lessons there. The second, you guys were able to see 3 decades of relationships, marriage, and you're going to the fourth one now. And I hope I pray I see 5 and 6, 7 and 8. That'd be a blessing, right? As we follow, we can get. All right, so let's talk about the first 5 years. what do you remember? And we all get to share that order. I don't get me come back. Just in case people can
Yeah.
put on the spot tonight.
For me, the first 5 years was the first 5 years was I would say, were very good years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there was a lot we had. Only we had ourselves. Um,
No children.
no children.
Okay.
That
That's
was one
after 5 years.
after 5 years.
Ah, okay.
Later.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that 5 years of bonding, etc. When we just got married, my wife was working, right? Qualified, but wasn't able to get a job. So she was home. Right, used to be exciting to come home, you know, after work every day.
Getting a hot meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
And it confirmed to me that I made the right choice,
right.
Okay.
you know. So later on, when challenges, I thought always to be the grass is not green on the other side.
Mm,
That's a myth.
right.
Any man who thinks that they could leave who God has brought you together with
Mhm.
and figure that better, what the joke you're making,
Mhm.
the biggest mistake you make of your life.
Mhm.
All right.
Right? Grass is not green on the
Yeah,
other
but it
side.
always seems
You
that
know,
way.
so I think that first 5 years was extremely important. We did a lot of things. We used to have a lot of time,
Mhm.
quiet time, eat.
Yeah, we had no TV.
We had no TV,
No
Ah,
TV.
no TV.
okay.
Yeah, so we had a lot of time to bond.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
lovely.
Just gospel music.
And we used to listen to Herbalite Radio,
Yeah,
Clerical radio station.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
so a lot of time in the world,
Mm.
really beautiful person. She was really into the word and prayer,
Right.
right? So I spent a lot of time in that. Now, you may not have had 5 years,
No,
but I'm saying you may have 6 months. I think you have to make a foundation.
Right.
right.
Mhm.
Prayer, study of the word together.
Mhm.
You understand? And of course, spending time. Make time for yourself. You don't want people get married and they want to run in here, run in there, you want to be the boys. You want to,
Ah,
you gotta cut that out.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? I said to myself, I'm married now. I can't be married. I mean, this is my
that's it. That's
home
it. That's
base
it.
first, right? So so we really had nothing
Okay.
Yeah.
when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was quite a challenge with him
nothing.
alone working.
Mm.
Nothing.
But that was just the
Yeah.
first few months. And
Mhm.
thank God he was able to start working with him the first year.
Oh,
Okay.
lovely.
Yeah.
You know.
Lovely.
But that first few months was tough.
Mhm.
In those days my salary was like
We saw.
$600 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe back then the
Dollar come money
600,
back
yeah.
then.
No, that was not a big salary in 1995. Really, it wasn't a big
Okay.
salary.
Okay.
Okay.
Then you pay, then you pick up your money for bus
Yeah.
and food.
So I had to watch how I used stuff and within that first few months.
Yeah.
All right.
And even after when I got a job,
Yeah.
when you work with government, you have to work a few months
Maybe
Before,
even
before you
right.
actually get
So
paid.
two of
Yeah.
us going to work
True.
now.
So and we don't have any transport.
Both. Two
Okay.
of us going to work. No, we have no
Yeah,
transport.
we had
I
any
mean,
transport. None of us had a
transport.
license yet.
Transport came later, after that.
You
So
see, that when people see what you have, they don't know the humble beginnings.
we had
They,
nothing
they
when we got
don't
married.
know the humble beginnings.
Nothing.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know.
thank God for his sister's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Staying
yeah.
there.
They
Okay.
traveled to they migrated and I was in the house.
Okay.
So you learned how to be content in
Yeah.
little,
Very,
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very
yes,
little.
Management skill.
yes,
Ah,
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So
All right. Sister Thompson, you go ahead. Let me hear. I did answer that as you go on. So I stood out to my partner in the first 5 years.
Yes,
So
the big to manage finances
manage.
very
Okay.
early,
all
Right.
right.
and also looking for business opportunities.
Okay.
I think when we just met, that's one of the things that click between us.
Yeah.
What we can do to earn and also to proclaim the gospel.
Right.
Things you can do. I remember talking about doing T-shirts
Okay.
Okay.
with gospel messages.
Messages.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. So we haven't done it
yeah.
yet.
We did a couple samples.
but we
already.
have we have opportunities that we can actually do it
So they're
through
doing some now. So
yes.
all the messages are still.
We had one about Jesus coming back.
Not a designer
Yeah,
again.
so
Never
we have,
thought of that,
and I had a
right?
design. I did it on a stone first before
Yeah.
we actually put it on a t-shirt.
And what all you know, she's an artist, so
Yeah,
I
so
can imagine.
Mhm.
yeah, so we learn to do things to learn and to manage the little that we had very early.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This hobby.
This is some good stuff.
What have you learned
All right. So let
the
me
first
see. In
five
the
years?
first 5 years of
Mm,
marriage, what did I learn?
mm,
I learned a lot of things, you know. Um, One of the things that I learned was having a friend, a close friend. I grew up, I had friends. I had, let me not say, I didn't have plenty friends. All right. I had maybe one or two friends that was kind of close to me, but I didn't have like a really, really close friends. So when my husband came along, I learned about what I can say. I learned about friendship, having that kind of, you have that person that you speak with, you have to learn to do things with, you have to understand them, and I really, before that, I
mhm,
really did not have, I had friends that I consider maybe best friends and so, but not to that level where I was never really a kind of person who was out there, out there. I was always very quiet and to myself.
Decided
Huh?
more than a cup of tea.
Huh? Right? So I think I learned about, really having that kind of close friendship with somebody who you can really share everything with.
Everything.
Yes. So I never really was a kind of open person. So I know that I've grown over the years even more because even looking back then and now, there's a lot of growth. But, but I think at that point I was learning how to really have a friend, a really close friend who you
Mm,
could really share everything with.
right.
Yes.
For me, like my brother said, I remember I could go back at least we when we met and to the point to when we got married. When we met, it was however we connected, we became friends. We more or less when we decided to start a relationship, we started praying.
Mm-hmm.
We have created like a habit of praying together every morning. Like whilst we were quoting before we were engaged to be married, we wake up in the morning, I call her on the phone, and we would pray. Pray and study of the word. And I was the man. I was saying, hey, God, this everything is God, because that was where my foundation really began as a young man coming away from the world, giving my heart to Jesus and making up my mind that unless God say that is the one, then I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I had to like turn down people and then now start this relationship, move into that relationship. I would say for me, I think I knew enough to carry me through the first 5 years successfully. Like we did not have a house when we began, but we had mind that we didn't want to like rent from nobody. First of all, we renting from nobody. We made our mind from that. We see if ever God we want to be the one renting to somebody, right? So that was one of the things we said. And Lord, like how you open up a door for you, you open up a door for us, and then just this time He had blessed us with things. And I feel like even looking back, no, I can see even then I still felt like we have placed too much emphasis on like getting things. And I was thinking at that time that was the strength of my marriage, the fruit, right? My wife was a teacher all the while. For me, I was struggling working, doing an insurance job, um, making $900. Even as I was going into marriage, at one point I didn't want to get married again. You know why? I didn't want to get married, and I tried to make an excuse why I don't want to get married, but I couldn't make the excuse very well. And when I said to her, "I ain't sure I want to get married again," she was like, "What's up?" You understand? But I was like, God, how I
The
take
cold
care?
feet, man.
How would I take care? How would I take
Yeah,
care of
he had
the?
some COVID too,
No,
eh?
how would I take care of the people's children?
Yeah.
You understand? And I mean, when I get married and I get sold my way out of debt into marriage. And I remember one time when my wife and I we hit a rock space, and we decided we're not going to know more than no father, and we're not going to nobody and ask for nothing. It's God we have to trust in, you know. So I would say the primitive years of a relationship, that first 5 years, they was more like, again, building up our faith. We didn't have any children. First 5 years of a relationship, maybe
Um,
four,
so
nine,
9, 11, 12, fourth
on
year,
the fourth
Jed
year,
came.
we had just a jet.
So,
So that was good. We also, with that is concerned, we also learned to trust God for a child. In that first 5 years of a relationship, because we had to like, we prayed and we didn't like want to hit the right shot. Like, oh, we didn't know that was going to happen. We plan all our children and we trust God for the right timing for him, the conception. And the first one was like we said, what going on? Also, I think they tell us, right? That whole other story. But I remember my wife one day came from church and she said, God gave her that word, and to see the word was a reality. She had that in the spirit. So all that was like time to, just trusting God. We were really active in church. We were busy in ministry, like you guys were, because we did some work together when we got married. We were busy from, most of the day in the week. God have, and still and that's foundation. See how we are today, and not yesterday. And we just get up and decide to do that today. It was training from since then, just different setting, but God was working on us since then. And then I remember at the time I met Thompson too, that other story. I don't know if you remember. When I met him, we didn't know we would have been here today.
Yeah.
We all had Taffy's Cafe.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah,
And I
yes,
see them all day.
yeah.
I come and I used to go on the other food day, but we used to chat, we just talk and thing. So that first 5 years, it was wonderful. We see when our situation financially had changed, many decisions to make. I was a fighter. Still, I'm a fighter today. I don't give up easy. And my wife knows that about me when it comes to like, I came into my relationship with a mindset that my family has to be taken care of, my wife has to be taken care of. I came with some things that I got from home, right? And as I realized there was something also that was not good that I carried with me. So I had to learn how to detach. Let me just give all of this last one before we go back again. I remember my first quarrel. First quarrel
we're going back to that again.
yes,
Okay, all right.
lessons learned in marriage. I
All
remember
right.
my first quarrel, brother. So my wife and I were caught. She had natural hair,
right.
right?
Not
So
not like this. It
she
was
had natural
natural.
hair. So when,
Kinky,
so
kinky, kinky hair,
but the
as we
thing I
say.
used to pray to God for a woman back then, I say, God, I want a lady a long hair. But I didn't know long hair just fall on the floor to grow back new ones. And so my mother grew me up, right? I if I see, I don't like to see places, So when I married and she get dropped, I was like, well, what's going on there, boy? I want to sweep the house every day.
Yeah.
Because I thinking that's how a good man's supposed to have it. You check what I'm saying, and then we met our differences at that time. I want that first time I bank up a lot of things that I thought was fretting me, but we just married and I'm a wife. I want to be nice husband. I'm trying to be tolerant, and I ain't talking. I was banking, man, and sweeping. And one day I decided to talk. And she gave me like a attitude, and then boy, it's like I asked myself, what am I going to be? Where who I get married for? I mean, that would have been like within the first 2 years, right? I remember while leaving house because we started quarreling. And it's like when we started quarreling, it's like, boy, it's like tell her that too, tell her that too, and tell her this too. Like everything that bank up now come back to my memory to reveal it. You understand? And the heat is going, and I'm like, Lord, was like, I look at him one day, pushing me to same more, and then I think she said, "You crying?"
I can't remember.
She can't remember, but I remember. We're in the kitchen. And I think I like a walk and thing, and I was like, man, why you go and do this, man? You understand? So that was the first
But
quarrel.
it's amazing that the first thing that comes to your mind
Yeah,
is to go back.
where to go?
Or to
Like
go.
what
Yes.
happened? What doing?
Leave.
Yeah,
Because it must know because of the financial situation. I home,
yeah,
but I want to go look for a
yeah.
friend. So
But I'm not parents now. They all even don't care. I can't go home.
yeah. So that's money to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you know how much money that costing? Because I have to depend on him now for the money to
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to,
How old were you guys when you
I
got
was
married?
23.
How old were you?
Yeah, I was
You
He
said
was,
I was 23.
yeah.
I was when I got married. I was 23. I was 23 when I got married.
23.
You were 25. In case you're trying to remember.
No, 24. You sure I wasn't?
You were 25.
Remember,
Okay.
we got married in July,
Yes.
April,
I was
and I born in
23. I
April,
was taking 24 in September.
and I was 26.
Well, right. Well, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I really can't remember the first time we called.
Mm-hmm.
But
I remember.
remember? It was over that going to
Yeah,
look for your parents.
yeah. And I come back and say, well, why is this? You can't go too often. You have to go maybe once a month.
Mm.
Yeah,
Because
because
I mean,
we were
you're
tight.
leaving on the
We
queen.
were really tight.
You're leaving on the
Yeah.
queen, but we have home whole. You just want to go back and spend time. Your
Right.
mom,
Yeah.
I think I was
You
even on TV.
want to go back. You're asking me if I want to go back home.
Uh-huh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. So,
Listen.
You know, one of the things I think really that stood out to me was how our resilience and determination to to press forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you, we were fully involved in church. Um, a lot of evangelism work that
Friday
Mm-hmm.
eventually
nights,
became a whole ministry in
chocolate
Chocolate
city.
City
Mm-hmm.
in
Okay.
Jalangley,
Okay.
together with Sister Babs. James.
With that.
We would from work, I would be working at the she would after work, we would head up there. Walk, no transport. Up
Take the
till
yeah.
Golf Course and walk up Golf Course all the way up and spend the whole evening only by 5, 6 o'clock.
Oh.
Catch the bus and come home.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
That's to be on
every
Thursdays.
Thursday evening. Yeah.
And then Friday
And
used
then
to be
Friday,
men
men, I would go to
preaching
the
on the
men.
open air.
Yeah.
Well.
So there was a lot of I was and somebody said take up with me.
Yeah.
All the men I know as the only lady, you know.
Yeah.
Um so I think that kind of really inducting us into service to God.
Right. Right.
Service to God and giving God time. So our time was a lot of God knows um, and we see the reward of it.
Yeah.
You know, God is no
It's,
man's debtor.
as I said,
Mm-hmm.
it's foundation.
Yeah.
We are able to build our lives as believers on these as get evangelism is important, and also the discipleship, working not just a one-off but consistency
Yeah.
with the people, following up and discipling,
Right.
and then having a
As a
love for
couple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
people.
I think. I think. I think it's important as married couples that we understand how we can work together. Right. That
Mm.
God called us one, and however we can complement each other, support each other. Right. So when you get into marriage, right, and you learn how you can be of support to your husband. So he's
Yeah.
going out there, he is with the men, but you can also come along. You
Mm.
can be of some kind of support, whether it is that you're there to pray, whether it
Mhm.
is you're there as a person to help him to feel just a presence, maybe
Mhm.
helps
Yeah.
him to feel a sense of comfort, or my wife is really supporting what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a valuable lesson as well, that we understand that we are there for each other, we're there to support each other, we are there to to really be that kind of person who would push each other along, and just to be there as a anchor, as a support. One of the lessons, so my husband wants us to go kind of chronologically, but I,
Yeah.
I, I figure we could talk about, just generally lessons that we have learned, all right? I think one of the lessons that I learned in marriage is learning to be unselfish. Right? Growing up, as I said, for all those of you out there who possibly don't know me, I am the only girl. All right? I am the only girl, right?
Daddy
I
girl.
grew up, yes, daddy's girl. I grew up, I have two older brothers. I am the only girl, and I'm still young. So you could imagine that. People will say, oh, she's spoiled. In fairness, I don't think I was spoiled, but maybe perhaps people will look at me as a little spoiled one, right? So, um, basically, I wouldn't say that I had all that I wanted growing up, but when you're the only girl, the last little one, more or less, you kind of get all everything that you
Yeah, everybody's spoiled. Yeah.
right? So, I would say that the world surrounds me, but more or less, you're a little spoiled,
And,
right?
and you're not how to
How to
think,
get your
think the
way.
boys.
Yes, how to get your way. So, in coming into a marriage now, you have to learn how
Yeah.
all right? You have to learn how to put other people before yourself,
Mm.
right? Whereas, outside of marriage, I learned that, right, personally.
Mm.
Whereas- Sorry. Whereas outside of marriage and growing up, I was basically, you know, you kind of get the first choice. You're the little one. You kind of get, you're the only girl. So
Yeah,
you got nobody else to choose,
yeah.
right? No, coming into a marriage, you have to learn, listen, you have a husband now. Put him first, all right? It's not always about you and what you do, all right? You have to think about what your husband desires. You have to think about putting it before yourself. You have to think about, what does he think in this situation? It's not always about you, right? So
Yeah.
I think that was one of the valuable lessons that I learned generally in marriage, coming in, being an only girl,
Mm.
being the last child, to be able to put my husband before myself. And Christ tells us about it. And the Word of God speaks about it, putting
Yeah.
others before yourself, thinking of people more
Highly
highly
than the other.
than
And you have to,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So that was one of the valuable lessons that I learned. I know coming in, it's maybe a little rocky at first. I'm not too sure if my husband really saw or the a little selfishness in the beginning, but I know for a fact that I have learned how to be a little less, a lot less
Yeah. Well,
selfish.
yeah. I think we both. I wrote that down, and I think she wrote that down too.
Yes.
That two is better than one. We learned
Uh-huh.
that very early.
Right.
Two is better than
Better
one,
than one.
and that translated in all areas of our lives. So everything we had was good. Everything
Right.
we have is
Yes.
good,
Yes.
right? Bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we get married, we went and did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
one
was the
thing,
first thing.
one thing we didn't mention, very early in the marriage, we built our first home. Yeah, and that was really, but we had to do a lot of other work for ourselves. Some of the work,
Yeah.
we had to do for ourselves, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it was,
Hard,
it
a
was
lot
tough.
of hard work. That's,
It was
that,
tough.
that was done in the
Mm-hmm.
south of the island. So
Mm-hmm.
that from work, we would go down there, do the work,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's
Painting,
painting, polishing,
Right.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then move in the front of it, catch the bus by 6, come home, and get
getting the
ready for.
materials, calling up to see where you get a better price.
Right. Right. A lot of hard
A
work.
lot of work.
A lot of
We
hard
didn't have,
work.
we didn't have transport there.
Yeah.
A
So,
lot of hard work.
bus,
Mm-hmm.
the foot it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bus, and when they get Cali, I had to walk, make sure I'm gonna walk to Cali. It wasn't easy. So the sacrifice of was a lot. I don't think people see that. They don't know that we need a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
Added to that, one staffy was one staffy,
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of adjusting taking
Right.
place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and she was born the fifth year
Mm-hmm.
of our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that we had to do a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
really preparing and looking at life different.
Right.
Right. She always had a passion for missions.
Mhm.
So beginning to talk about that, but going out and serving God. So Taffy goes a year, like a year,
Yeah, I had
a year
months.
and months.
Mm-hmm.
We signed up to go on the mission.
Mm. Amazing.
That was a big struggle for me
Yeah.
because taking a child at that age,
Young.
right? We
Yeah.
just built our home,
Yeah.
and prayed about it, and God said to sell the house.
Right. Oh my.
We sold the house. We
Wow.
didn't get to
You
live.
understand? We didn't get to live in the house.
We spent one night in the house. And
You see, I don't think people understand this.
Oh my
They
goodness.
see our lives today, and they don't think we spend a good night in the house.
in
Wow.
fact, again,
Yeah.
it was up at night because we had a bed and the AC going on. So we had to get up the mattress.
That was one of those,
every hour.
Oh my goodness.
right? That's the only night we spend in the house sleeping. There. So then we sell the house, um, not for profit, really just to pay back the mortgage
Okay.
Right.
and to recoup our investment. Really.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And that money we took to go on the mission field.
Who would do that
You
today?
understand?
This is
Would they do it
amazing.
again?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
And I mean,
This
even
is
go
amazing.
spend more time on the mission field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Taffy was a baby. And we took her all the way to Africa
Yeah.
Mm.
and with us. So
I think one valuable lesson from that is that
Putting God
you have to
first.
putting God
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
definitely, but also understanding God's calling and your partner's
Yeah. Unity.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
their
Agreement.
passion and their
Yeah.
yes. Because if you had said, listen,
I not from.
yes,
You could go. I don't
right,
necessarily imagine.
but you
But
understood.
not only that, but besides that,
Hmm.
walking in disobedience of God,
Hmm.
there's a heavy price to pay for that.
That's
Right.
true. That's
Right? So
true.
you see people and you wonder why they're in that situation.
Right.
Have you disobeyed God somewhere along the path?
Hmm.
So I think for us that was a really test of faith. Right? Test of
True.
faith.
Hmm.
But I supported her and she supported me.
Right.
Ask myself that
Totally.
question.
We
Yes,
did a lot of
multiple
praying.
times, and ask myself that question: would I do that? Would my wife say yes?
If I know it's the will of God.
Yeah.
No, I just saying,
Yeah.
No, the thing is, I can't put myself there totally
Yeah,
because that's not. It wasn't my calling. For me to try to imagine it, my answer just like it might be like in my head, or top of my head, gonna be like, nah, boy, that's crazy. I could do all that. As soon as I believe God tell me sell, I go. I would think twice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it takes
But
tremendous
I will
faith
tell you,
and obedience.
what I would quickly add is that, and not I'm still there, that
Mhm.
God word is true.
Yeah,
And nobody can convince me that God word is true.
right.
His word, one of the word he gives, he say, whosoever give up house and lands, mother and father, brother and sister from there, I will give them back.
Ah,
And that literally came to pass in our
amen.
life. Literally. When we came back from the mission, we had nowhere to stay.
Hmm.
Yeah, just the same house we had.
We had to go back to our
The
sister,
first
my
house.
sister house,
Yeah,
right? Literally, we were broke,
Right. Right.
right.
right?
And we took no
We
pay.
took no pay leave from work,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
our salaries were not running while we were
Oh
there.
my Lord. This is
You understand?
Right.
But we thank God we came back to
And we
church.
had
Yeah.
the support of the church, the
Yeah,
brethren.
yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow. So the call of God, I think every married couple there's a call of God upon your life.
hmm
I want to re-emphasize that.
right.
And you have to, as a couple, find that purpose.
Yeah.
Understand? Um, and look back now and today, we still in the mission field
True.
through radio.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that has not that God just put it in and put it in a different.
Yes.
Different,
Yes.
yeah.
So you have to know what God has called you to,
Right.
because
And you have to
I think,
understand the
yeah,
call too.
Mm-hmm.
because I think, I
Go
think for me that's you have to know that this is the person God wants you to be with.
That's right.
Let's see,
It's
and that's
4 days, 3 days, and whatever is the word you want to use. You have to know that you're not just coming together as a couple because you feel good about
you
with
love
each
each
other.
other, you like each
You
other.
understand? No,
Yeah.
it's more than that. There's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
understand?
God's
He said,
purpose
yeah, there's
as a
God
couple.
purpose. Yeah.
And I think that is key. And that's some of the times, even in the secular, there's other things that cause people to go apart.
Mm.
Because, you know, someone told me about a lady who she wasn't working and she she wanted to do a particular thing,
Mm.
but a man saw her that time and wanted to make her a wife.
Mm.
Turned to her wife, and thereafter, when she started doing what she wanted to do, find no, she was a little too out there for
Right.
his wife.
Mm.
It wasn't a good year, the divorce. So I say it, even say to say, even in a positive, or even they want, if we might say, well, maybe, well, based on what she was doing, maybe the man is right.
Mm.
But he knew.
Mm.
Why did you go into the
So
relationship?
you were not happy with
You
it.
want to change
You're not
the
accepting it.
individual.
Yeah.
You shouldn't want to change the individual,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm saying there now, if me and you, that's why when we start praying, asking God, God, we have this common thing here. Your will, your values, your precept, your commands,
Mm.
your statutes, it's God. So whatever decision we decide to go, the other day, I have to do something, I want to do it. My wife say, wait another 2 days, I praying and wait and see what God say about it. And when I hear that, as much as in my mind,
Mm.
I want to
I
run.
heard rush ahead.
She pull a God card on me.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't move past that because I respect. And if she feels that way, right, even though in my heart I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, but when she pull a God card, I have to relax myself and say, okay, God, well, if my wife think you can do it, I have to agree with her. So I say, all right, well, I put it in your hand and in God's hand.
Mm.
So whatever you and God decide, I did. You understand? But I can't go past. Now, if I go past thinking I right, I might be right. But given that
But,
tolerance,
The
you know,
agreement.
not only that,
Yeah.
yeah,
this way I said it,
mm,
that is a recipe. That it could be one of the ways the enemy will set you.
yeah, man,
Mm-hmm.
You
hmm,
want to go past,
yeah,
you the man, wrong
run
this.
past, yeah,
And he will set you up.
hmm,
You might get through one or two times, but he will
right.
put you in one monkey
Of
pants.
course, it will be
You
a bad
understand?
habit for you.
Yeah.
More or less later, she would
So,
say, okay, so it's only you that decided what happened in this relationship, you know?
not only look at it in that
Yeah,
context. You're gonna put you in a place where that decision you run ahead and make,
yeah,
it could put you in a very bad
bad
position.
place, yeah.
That is
Right. The financial.
embarrassment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
financially. You understand? It's just gonna set you up.
Right.
That's how the kingdom of darkness operates.
Right.
And we as married couples have to know
We have
that.
to be
Mm-hmm.
right.
Wait
So, and we
on
thank God.
God.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lesson I believe
Yeah.
every person. I go back to when we wanted to build our first house. We had a plan drawn, the plan was approved. You understand? The monies were good enough to qualify for the loan. We went to the bank. The bank was like, yeah, everything looks good. But then that last couple of minutes when we thought everything was going to work out, it just got a different
God say wait.
direction,
God say wait.
right?
Wait.
All the while, my prayer was, God, if you know this thing go give me, make me see trouble, I don't
Yeah.
want it. And I lost my job
Mm.
after that.
After that,
You
you see that? You see that?
and in the midst of the crisis, God still bless us. When my salary was not the same way it was, God used when it with God is totally different. So just to strengthen the point where God sit in a relationship.
Wait on
When
God.
I was making the amount
Mm.
and I thought I would have been able to qualify,
Yeah.
when I was making less amount,
We were
we
qualified.
qualified.
That's an army song, brother.
So people who don't want to
Yeah.
give
Uh,
God that opportunity to work in
Yeah.
their
uh,
lives,
I'm really
in a
glad. I'm really
relationship,
glad we hearing this out,
yeah,
because there are a lot of couples who have this fantasy.
yeah,
You got to God is the God of the supernatural,
that's right.
the miraculous,
Hmm.
and he he will work it out for you.
Hmm.
You got to go and stress yourself and hurt your
Take
head.
care of yourself,
Yeah.
You understand?
And I
you know.
think we too learn it because we kind of used to, when we have a business idea, let's go for it.
Quick and fast.
So I had no experience there. I have no
Hmm.
experience, no training, nothing. Okay, I was always so pushing. I say, well, let me try it. It's what we didn't try it as business.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did barbecue.
yeah.
We did, we sell
Safdie's
tools.
Cafe.
We had
Yeah.
a restaurant. I
Rent
end up cook.
ransom.
We went to
Yeah,
ransom.
had a bobcat,
And
tractor,
rental. Yeah.
rental.
Is what?
And it was business after business. And that was something because I was industry
Yeah.
and stuff. We have to feed our family.
Mhm.
And, so, but I wouldn't say no to the business. But as you said, but there's sometimes you have to stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And wait, yeah.
And that's a
And just
lesson
wait.
learned.
Yeah.
You have to stop and say, no, look, we're
Lord,
not
what
going
is
into
your
this
will, God?
unless it is the will of
Will of
God.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah,
That's it.
It's a key lesson right there.
yeah.
Right.
Because we when we were running the cafe, it was a good business,
Mhm.
you know, good idea. But it had its challenges. But one day I was on walk and I got this call that she and was school was on holidays.
It was tough because I had
Yeah.
to cook for the cafe before I go to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of
So I got this
work.
call that
Mhm.
Taffy was outside and she fell. And
Mhm.
Right.
looked like her hands broke. Man, I say, what is this?
Mhm.
I come home, I came home, grab her and put her in the car and go to the hospital. When I go there, I say, well, the handbrake, you
Oh
know,
my.
right hand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up learning to write it on
And
left
the fan.
hand.
Okay.
After that, I go and pray. I'm going to say, that is it. I'm done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
put my family first.
Yep.
I, I shut that business down. I said, so,
This here is a valuable lesson
Valuable lesson.
of putting your family first
Let's
as
yeah,
talk
well.
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
This is
Let's talk about that.
amazing because, and I think that I have learned. This is one of the lessons that I've learned, putting family first,
I always
because
had
we
that, you
can.
know. I think I was the one that at some point that didn't fully
I
understand.
think I also had to learn some things, but you go ahead.
Though sorry to cut here because for me,
Mhm.
and you know they say sometimes if you want to know really what's your position, it takes tough time.
Mm.
Tough times will always show you what you're really made of and what
True.
choices you will make and how
Mm-hmm.
much you trust God. So some people may go through tough times in their relationship and they don't learn to rely on God in that time. They start looking to themselves.
Yeah.
And I would tell you, if you
Mm.
start looking to yourself, then you're gonna mess up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for me, when you get used to something, it seems as though everything is good. It's easy to become complacent, to
Yeah,
become comfortable. You know,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're experiencing the good of God. You know, money's running. You don't have to worry about your bills paying. You have extra when the month income. You know, you're collecting. You have things happening for you, and it's very easy to miss God as your source,
Mm-hmm.
right? So no, the only reason why you won't put in the proper order God first as a lesson you should keep and look and live as long as you live, never forget it. God first, and then you put your family, right, and then everything else.
Mm.
No, the thing is, God will ask for your attention. Your family will ask for your attention. People will ask for your attention. The world will ask for your attention. You will ask for your attention. You have to decide what is the most important thing to do. Who gets your attention, right? And you must know why. So many people don't know why. Now, I'm talking this way because a lesson I had to learn
Mm-hmm.
around the 10th year of a relationship going on. You know, you get complacent, you have everything you ever prayed for. You understand? You want children, you get children. You want house, you get house. You want car, you get car. You want a stable job, you get stable job. You understand? You want the extra money, you pray God, you bless you with that. You have good friends, you have all kind of things. So then you start going, now look at hard time to come now and hit you.
Yeah.
Boom. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You will know what you really was putting first.
Yeah.
So COVID came
Mm.
and a hard time hit me. And then I had to make decisions. No, I own a business. I have to decide, well, how our business staying afloat, our family staying afloat. I stay responsible for paying another person for all
Mm.
that
Mm.
happening. So
Mm.
I say, well, no, I have to get the next job. You know, I've talked about it, to get a next job. But then there came a time when God was saying, leave the job.
Yeah.
But partner, you get hard, you get used to life. You give yourself a reason to keep the job. And I did that, right? And I would come home from work sometimes, right? Besides working again, coming home from work, my wife would say, well, help me do something now. In my mind, I would say, work. because work had to pay bills.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Business come in, and the developers do a good job in making the things that you think is so important. Like you get in. So you're telling yourself, I'm getting, so my family should understand they would have more. But what they want from you
Your
is
time,
not
presence.
that is it. So you didn't know when you're doing a good thing, but you're still doing a bad thing because I don't know the importance of balance. So I'm there, brother. I'm working still 12 o'clock in the night. I don't have a computer. I'm looking, you understand, for ways to make bread. People calling me on 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night. And and I had to, at some point, you know, my wife, we were living like what we call roommates. We all the while everybody would think we were really good, but inside man we're struggling and nobody knows we're struggling. And a lot of people they probably struggling now, but they
Because
don't
the priorities,
exactly, and they have
priorities.
like a
Listen,
misunderstanding.
I would even add in the
Mhm.
part with ministry because
Yeah.
sometimes we can get fooled with that.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
in full-time ministry and your family is not getting any of your time.
Talk about
Yeah.
that.
And
Say
that's
it as
the
it
thing with the
is.
children,
Yes.
because
Say it as it
in the
is.
ministry, in the business, in the
Mm,
work,
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
the home gets
And
better,
yeah,
and the children is like, yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's
So
no there's a
when we
balance,
started Hoop FM,
long balance.
right? When we started
Mm-hmm.
Hoop FM, right after COVID,
mm,
I wanted to come on the radio station. I was so excited. If I give me a chance, I come in Monday, Tuesday,
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Wednesday,
Yes.
Thursday,
Thursday, Friday,
Friday,
I
Saturday,
Saturday,
remember,
Sunday.
Sunday,
I remember me and
Monday,
your daughter
Tuesday,
had a
When
talk.
he,
I
when
said,
he
you know,
told me
Right?
that, I said no, but we
Watch
living
me.
on them, what will happen to them?
Watch me. In my
yeah, so we
mind,
do one prayer. We say, nah, that can't happen.
the middle.
I said, what will happen to them when they was children?
You didn't know that. You
But
don't know that.
you
But
know,
we
you
done
know,
that prayer. We said, no, that
so
can't happen.
so she was
I
like
said,
putting
that
up.
man will
So
burn
yeah,
out.
so yeah, she
No,
putting
no,
up
he was
walls.
stressed. Yeah.
She putting up
and I keep
walls,
working.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to be the work of the Lord. I
Mhm.
excited a lot that you have to go. You have to do it. And I would come when I come from work. I eat something fast. Come on the radio station, and stand at the radio station, and I go and do a night job, and I come back, take a little sleep, and work again. And bro, next day I repeat the same thing. And all the while,
That's
the
the
night
life
job I
now.
had to cut to it, but I was still doing it because at some point I knew when the time came when I had to stop this night job. But yet still I said to myself, "Mark,
Mm,
you could use the money, get a nice car. So you have extra money. So I give myself a reason to work.
yeah,
Come buy a nice car, take a loan.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? And all the while is like at that time, let me tell you that in our relationship at that time, when you're busy still have no to pray much.
yeah,
God gets a little 15, 10 minutes in the
Mhm.
morning.
yeah,
Mhm.
He get just some little, path thing, so to speak.
yeah.
No real connection.
Yeah,
You don't have time to go into work.
oh, yeah.
Around that time, they church ain't normal, so you go to church and your young children.
Mm,
It was frustrating. That's one of the most difficult times in my marriage that I can remember. And that thing just break it down, break it down, break it down. And if you don't catch yourself, you're dying. People wonder, what happened? Why all they go apart? You understand? Separation was never an option for us, challenges.
mm,
But
Right.
there were a lot of learning to do.
yeah,
You understand? And
Yes.
it was a door that
Definitely.
was open in our relationship. It looked good. It looked justifiable in my head. Right? But the enemy, he was working in the
In the
background.
background.
You understand?
yeah, because,
They're growing up,
yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Because the husband now, he
Mm,
was traveling a lot.
right.
Yeah,
So different for us, COVID actually
Right.
caused him to be home more.
Even more, I was happy.
I was happy.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Oh gosh,
and
yeah,
that was
women love
answered
the
the prayer.
ministry of
Yes.
presence.
yeah,
That was answered the prayer because he was like going on
Mm,
trip to his job
right.
so
Often.
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 Yeah.
And he was like, and he even would have looked at this of things to do
Yeah.
while he
Mhm.
gone.
Left
Right.
alone.
And we have to have taffy
Hmm.
and
Yes,
all
difficult.
and the difficulty,
and then even when we had a business, I
Right.
Right.
had that
Right.
building construction going on
Hmm.
downstairs, and
Right.
A lot.
it's a lot.
People don't get that.
And yeah,
because
mm,
I reached a stage where when I came home and I saw my hand and I think I want to bring her back. Brother, if I could literally take that business and just tell it away,
Yeah.
that's how I felt.
Yes.
You understand?
So.
I just said, this thing cannot, I will not allow this
Mhm.
thing to come. I literally felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when I see that is Southern concern, it's
Soul.
finished. It's soul. It didn't happen yet, but I think in the name of the Lord, it's finished.
Right.
You
Yes.
understand?
It's become too
Because
stressful.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we have a
We used to dream about
franchise that we branded the name.
Uh-huh.
So
yes.
coffee. So
Yeah.
They are born
born
in
in Grenville.
Grenville
What?
Yeah, and
and put out some, village, something nice and different
Yeah.
that
Right. Right.
everybody would want to
it's a
try.
lot of soups,
Yeah.
Village
special
food.
Right,
soups.
right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like, so you have to go through that stage where the
Yeah.
husband is walking, business thing is
Yeah.
coming. But you have to understand life. Your
Uh-huh.
life is more
Yeah.
valuable.
That's it.
That's
Your
it.
family, your
That's
children.
some very important time.
Time.
Your
Yes.
children.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you're not
That's
careful,
it.
And they grow up so quickly.
yeah.
The boys used to say, Daddy, you going again? Daddy, you going again? In the night time when I leave, Daddy, you going again? You understand? And you see, and sometimes you have to hit a wall so your eyes could be open.
As well.
Well,
Mm.
it's sad, but sometimes you hit a wall where your eyes will be open. Now, the thing is, what I would love to say to people as we're talking about this is learn in your marriage, you don't have to go through the same thing. The point is, if you're going through that now, it tells you that you need to stop and look within.
Yes.
So we had to stop.
Mm.
We had to pull all the way back and had
Yeah.
to revisit my faith from foundation again and ask God, what's the way up? Because a lot of other things, your communication, your relationship, will deteriorate. Money does not give you all the
Money,
happiness
Mm.
that you seek. You understand? One man say, Bible say money answer it all. I say, where does God fit? I say, yes, the Bible say that, but where do you put God? Oh, I just know the Bible say, yes, I get that.
money does not
But
answer all
one,
things.
you go running
I think
down.
the context that
The
Yeah,
I
that's a
tried to
context.
share
slogan.
it to the man.
The
the
I
context.
tried
context
to share it to
is
the
a,
man,
is
but
a
he couldn't
slogan.
see. He couldn't see.
Yeah.
Is a
You
slogan.
understand?
Yes.
You see, after I was responding,
Yep.
Mm.
the first question,
That's
Yeah.
right.
which was money answer all things.
Does it?
You understand?
That's the
And,
point.
and we take just that part.
That's
But if
Yes.
you
it.
read Lord, we realize he gave a profound response to that.
That's right.
You understand?
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Because there are some misconceptions that happens in Christianity and Christian mind based on the Bible, where people misunderstand certain things. So
Yes.
money is one of them. When it comes to intimacy or sex, people now have some twisted ideas. You move it and say, my wife, the word say, yours, you're mine, right? So when I ready for mine, I give up. Now it's you. You have to give me what's mine. Follow what God was his, Otherwise, I see you as a bad wife. You use the word sometimes for your own selfish
Oh,
gain.
selfish, right? Uh-huh.
Is you understand? Leave out a lot of things. So some people out there right now may be listening,
Mhm.
and that's one of the area probably a lesson they need to learn.
Mm.
Yes, it's true. But God doesn't like force people. If you love don't force. Love is
Mm.
given freely.
Love
Love
is
love is
kind and
kind. Love is
patient.
patient. Love, you
Yes.
understand? Love
Yes.
doesn't hold no wrong. Some people holding things. You can't talk. Okay, let's talk about silent treatment.
That was
Yeah, that was a tough structure. I don't like saying
no.
I
I will
can't
tell.
do
I
it,
will, yeah.
But we need to
I don't
talk
like it
about
on
it.
TV.
We
No,
need to talk
one of
about
the
it,
things,
and we will talk about the root of it.
well, that's
Yeah,
Let's
what
go.
the
that's
root,
what I get.
yeah, the root of
The
it.
Mhm.
root of that is
Yes.
money.
Let's go.
I came to realize, and when I did a serious examination of it,
Mm.
I
Right.
realized that there were seasons. There were seasons when the enemy would come,
Right.
and you had to. And if you're not discerning,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not, as I say, in prayer, but you're yielding to that temptation,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these things is
And,
sin.
and emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
As I say.
Open up a door.
Yeah,
That emotional
Emotional,
abuse to the person
yes.
that you
yeah,
give them
yeah,
that
yeah,
silence.
yeah. Because
They go and sleep in the night
you
and
know,
don't
and,
talk about
and, and I came to realize that the root of it is very petty,
it. Of
Yes.
course, immaturity
foolishness,
is what it
you
is.
know.
And immaturity,
And
man, you have to grow up in relationship. I was 10 years, 12 years in marriage and I didn't grow up yet. You see, years don't really say you have the best thing. So one of the things people don't get, if you hear a conversation, I feel like we spend time focusing on getting things,
mm,
but we're working on marriage,
yeah,
the marriage, the relationship.
Relationship.
You understand? like really sitting down and analyzing, talking about ways to better your communication amongst each other, being able to so that
Each other
you
happy.
care,
Yes.
Happy.
you understand, to
Yeah.
put each other first, to make it give each other, prioritize your wife or your husband's need, because when you don't prioritize your wife or your husband, man, you're making them vulnerable. You're giving them, if they're strong enough, they don't understand things. And most times, we immature in a relationship. You're going to it because you like the person. The person is a Christian cross. Okay, Christian, yes. But Christian and maturity in Christianity that will
Two
keep you
different things.
going in a relationship is a whole different
Yes.
ball game.
Yes.
Right?
Something that silent treatment,
Talk about that.
that silent treatment. I think that when there is a disagreement over something
Mm-hmm.
and you go silent,
Mm-hmm.
that is just the fruit
Mm-hmm.
of what been going on in other. So
And
your
all that
other
places,
places where you have not been communicated.
All
yes.
right.
Yes.
So that day is really the back end
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
of other issues of lack of communication.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? Maybe you're thinking about things too much and not sharing what you're thinking
That's
about.
right. That's
You
right.
understand? So by the time you share it, you don't have the you don't look at the problem, look at the issue.
Answer,
You
you
have the
cover
answer, the
everything.
solution, everything.
You don't want to
Without
talk
Internalize
you know.
again.
everything.
Okay.
Whatever
Exactly.
you see,
Yeah.
because what you
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
however you perceive it, is right. And
exactly.
also, it's weakness because you're telling yourself, I will make her pay, I
Yeah.
will make him pay. The other thing, I will not talk
Because
to you.
she not in
And
agreement
yeah,
or
yeah,
not
you can have my way.
understanding.
Like a manipulation kind of thing.
Manipulation, that
Of course,
witchcraft.
to get your way, to get your way. Yeah, yeah,
Watch
yeah.
me.
And I don't care who you are. I think all marriage have to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Where the husband think, well, I'm right,
Mm.
and the wife thing, so that's our problem, no issue.
Yeah,
I take a break. I take a break.
And
Take
when
some
you, when
quiet.
you do that, you make not yourself and say, well,
something wrong with you. Mm. Well, let me give all the a story about my ex where that is concerned. My
what
wife,
I do?
my wife, that never worked. I would try to escape. I will go to the veranda. This woman here will leave me
Yeah,
alone.
see,
She will not leave me alone.
she would
This
not
woman will,
give me out with
this
the
woman
thing.
will pray
Yeah.
and just, but that is money. Because
That,
when
but
this
I'm
thing,
telling you, man, it's demonic.
when this thing like to mine, it's
Literally,
want to.
you give place to
But
the
but
devil.
it looks like it because we men let us go through this thing because right, it look as though
Yeah.
that's the way we tend to escape,
Sorry.
right? But I had to see the big picture that this thing will help. So I had to know, I had to change this thing. And sometimes now, as Thompson say, I used to think, well, my wife can't deal with what I want to see. So no, I don't want to offend her. So I can't tell her what I see. So I need to stay quiet because if I open my mouth,
Yeah.
I will see things and I can't take it back. And the first quarrel I never forget, I can't go down there again. So now I choose a different road. But there's a right way. The right way to talk about it, in the right
Yeah.
timing, in the right way, pray about it.
Mm.
Understand?
Mhm.
Know when God gives you the release.
Yeah.
Ask God to speak to the person because sometimes you might go and see things the wrong way, go angry. Sometimes some my wife will say, well, maybe, I need like a time to thaw it because my head hot right now. Stress and so. But you can respectfully request that. But sometimes people don't respectfully. They don't even request it. They just shut down.
Yeah. Well, that's a strategy of the enemy, brother.
Yeah.
Draw an isolation.
Mm.
And in those seasons, if you let that go for more than a day, you're real from you.
Wow.
Nah,
It's
that's what they say.
you see,
Torture.
There are persons who don't talk for a couple of days.
let me
Yes.
let me tell you
For a
something.
long time.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. When you see that operation of the kingdom of darkness, tell yourself that Satan has
Mm.
a bigger prize he going after,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? He going after your holiness.
Mm-hmm.
He going after your walking in righteousness. He's coming to launch at your family in some other area,
Right.
right? So because if you two not working together. There's no agreement.
Right.
Understand? And when he begins to isolate you and make you figure you could stand on by yourself by your
Right.
own,
Right.
he's basically seeking to drive you apart.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's, yeah,
That's the whole
yeah,
point of it.
that's the whole point of it. So if we drive you apart, then who you after you begin to look at other somebody else. You understand? That's the road he's leading you down.
That's
And a
it.
lot of men and couples don't understand that. They haven't, their eyes have not been open to that, and I really want to open that up because that is that silent treatment is literally two is better than one. Beginning to to see that.
Mhm.
And if you're going to try to walk by yourself in a marriage, you're heading for disaster.
It. That's it.
You're heading for ruin.
Hmm.
Understand? And it's foolish to think that well I could walk away from this and go on. You're coming with the same garbage and same baggage.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
worse
it
sometimes.
comes a
More
cycle,
baggage.
and it
Worse.
comes a never-ending cycle till you
Worse.
decide to address it.
It's worse.
So as I said, every time hardship, if you see it as an opportunity to grow and to love each other
Yeah.
more, because love doesn't have conditions. So if it is a case, or if it's like if the type of love we want to talk about, this is like that. This is unconditional love, and that says to me, listen, I will love my wife despite what she said to me at the correct time. She hurt me and tell her about it, and then we have to forgive and we have to make it up and work it because we're in a relationship. I know that it's a bitter pill for many people to
But
swallow, but
I don't know
in
how.
reality, if you want marriage to work and you have to love your wife like Christ loved the church, and your wife have to do the things that God says regarding submission and all those things there. And
Just to
don't
stick a
have don't
pin
have the
there,
bad
because
idea of
if
it.
some things that you're talking about it I've learned too, but just to go back a little bit before we
Yeah.
go into all of that, I'm a very visual person. So when you think about certain things, I see it in terms of a picture in my head. And when you spoke about the isolation and not speaking to each other, I literally saw a battle,
Mhm.
right? Two persons who are the same side, but the enemy has cut off their communication. You
Mhm.
know how people have well, in older years, you probably have a walkie-talkie or something like that,
Mhm.
but in maybe recent years, you have some means
Yeah.
of being able to communicate.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's say that we are working together, right? We are working together against a common enemy,
Mhm.
right? But let's say I'm at this point here, you are around the corner there, right? We can't necessarily see each other,
Each
but
other.
we need to be able to
Yeah.
communicate
Yeah.
to survive
Yeah.
and to help each other. But if the enemy shuts down
All
the
the time.
communication,
Yep. We could kill
I
one another.
cannot help you, you cannot help
And
me.
we could kill one
We
another.
could
Okay,
kill
well,
one
We
another.
can get
By
so
mistake. Yeah.
Yes,
angry
Yeah.
because
this thing is
pent up.
real.
I tell you, that's it's one of
This
the
is real.
master strategies the enemy has used
It's
against couples.
strategic.
Deadly.
you
This
know
is
what you're doing.
deadly.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm just one of the lessons I learned too as we're talking about the environment. Is, so you're growing, we're in marriage and we have families. Families have this, some friends have this kind of thing where they go make joke and laugh about your spouse and say,
Mm.
oh, this and that and thing. And I used to laugh too. And then one day this Holy Spirit started convicting me
Mm.
that that's not right. You shouldn't be laughing. If something happened, you're laughing.
Yeah.
Why you laughing? It's your wife. You're
Yeah.
laughing at yourself. You understand? So then I had to talk to my wife about it, and we came to this conclusion that we're not gonna laugh at each other
Mm.
around nobody, no matter what it is. I won't point finger and say, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do it, right? And amongst especially family, would be like a more
Yeah.
soft type, like we knew each other and thing
Yeah.
like that. So one day after we decided that the situation showed itself,
Mm.
and I stand up and looked at very nicely. I said, no, you
But
can't say that. But it was a habit. But then he was cut off altogether from there. You
mm.
understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes people do that. And when
It's a little
you
thing
go,
that's
that's it.
Yes,
lying
that
So
kind
away
of
when you're there
at
now,
yourself.
been
person
said.
don't feel like alcohol, but they don't say it. When you go in the house, the devil start talking thing in the head now.
Mhm.
Like, what is it about? Look at your husband joining with them. Look at your wife joining with them and see.
Not laughing
You
at you.
understand? They're
Yeah.
laughing at you like you
Yeah.
stupid. So
I think we had I think all families to have that
mm,
with gossip, backbite, snipe
mm-hmm.
at other partners, other husbands or wives.
Right.
And I think me and Adonna, I said to her once, I say, listen, man, I know your family will just talk about me, and I don't like it. I don't talk about it. I won't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So we kill that dead. Understand? And I said, though you don't entertain it, and I don't entertain
And
it.
I don't entertain.
My family can't say nothing about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
The girls are in my
That's
house.
right.
Don't disrespect my wife. You disrespect my wife. You disrespect me.
That's it.
I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I will
Mm-hmm.
put you in your place.
That's right.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because I will not let you speak up against
That's
me.
right. And that's the next thing.
You
Laughing at
understand?
it funny.
No, it's not that.
It
It
ain't
won't
funny.
be powerful.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand?
You
What's
know?
his spirit and his life.
That's right.
And I will not endure.
Mm.
So they speak a blessing about my wife.
That's right.
You understand? They will say, well, you see,
Mm-hmm.
she husband don't want to say nothing bad about her.
Yeah.
And so don't say nothing bad about her.
That's right.
You understand?
You see, I put on your foot.
Yeah.
You have to put on your foot before they put on your foot, and you continue, and then you know. So that was one of the things that
Men
I
have
came
to
back and
know. Men have to
stand up.
with their father. Don't let your mother, your father, your
Mm-hmm.
brother, sister disrespect you because they're spitting in your face. That's
Basically,
how I see it.
mm-hmm.
You understand?
What they do, what they say about you, they say about your wife. You have to understand it that way,
Yeah.
because you two become one. So what happens to your wife? Happens.
And I don't tell you, you have to go and curse and beg
No,
and
don't
slap
get
them.
there.
Yeah, just let them know, listen,
I don't
that's
appreciate
not
that.
happening. I don't,
Stop that,
you know,
please.
let me just not practice
Yeah.
that diplomatic
So,
with grace.
so another thing for me, learning to be open, being vulnerable with my wife. I think after the 10th year into the 15th year, I had to learn that one because that was something that to me that was working against me. I love when my wife looked at me and thought I was the most perfect man. And she had to protect that. You understand? I was trying to protect that type of vibes. And I think it used to show because I had people say to me, when your wife are wrong, I realize it was just going at different place. Like it just get straight. You understand? You know, but when she not wrong, you just move on. I be like, why you talking about it now? It's the night and thing. But in reality, I think people are see on you. You understand? And it was men that was telling me that.
Right.
It's because and even as I think about it and time pass by, it's not a fake it. It's like it's your wife. You know, you want to make her feel
Yeah.
a certain way, like it's your saying. But I think at times now it's not allow me true self, my flaws. So I only wanted to see a perfect side of me, so that she keep thinking she had the best husband in the world. Now I tell her that
Yeah.
that thing could backfire on you, and it did backfire on me. And the only way to get past it was to heal from that kind of thing. No details, but put it on the surface that you have to become vulnerable. I'm not a perfect man. And when she get that news, it doesn't hit too right because if you was thinking right now, you're the one that well, what else? It comes with a whole lot of load where you have to rebuild trust. You have to learn to figure out well, who is that person so you can then move the way God wants you to move. You know? So being able to be vulnerable, and I think when that scripture came home, we went to a conference one time, Brother Joachim and his wife, they were the one sharing, and they talk about and the man knew his wife and they put him naked and unashamed.
Unashamed.
And when he explained that, and I grasped what the scripture was saying about Adam and Eve, I was like, wow, bro, you've been faking. And then God convicted me and said, you've been very selfish. I was just washing dishes in the kitchen, washing up some dishes, and the spirit, I wasn't praying nothing. The spirit of God just convict me and tell me you're being a very selfish husband. You have to change this thing about you. And I knew exactly what God was saying. And I said, never man, I'm in the morning, Trevor. And I would go, wash. my plate and I want to sit down and eat. Take this fancy marriage. That kind of selfishness. When I get up, I make something to eat for yourself.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? There are things I will do, and I feel like even like go do this, forgetting my family home and thinking what I'm doing is good. Yes, it's good, as I say, but all of that do not have to conflict me. And that change had to come avoid because my wife was complaining, saying, but I was blind, completely blind to
You
reality.
think that is only man stuff.
Get the picture? Now
Yeah,
let
yeah,
me
yeah.
dig deeper.
Yeah, but take your wife along.
Let me be so slow. When I dig deeper, I found that's why I have to revisit my past. No, my dad, my dad used to work in the day and he used to work in the night.
Right.
My dad would work in the day, right? He would do construction, like go fishing, come back and he work security in the night.
Okay.
When I was younger, I used to go and work in the night to help him
Right.
in the night. In fact, I used to go and study in the school. In the school, so I used to go and study in the school
Right.
for quite a time. I come back home at a certain time. We didn't have electricity home at that time, so
Right.
the night in the school was free. I have a classroom that day. From there, I could have a key for the host. So I would stay there and do the studies until I get promiscuous when I go and do what I used to do. Understand? She watch me.
No, no, no.
No, no.
Listen.
But I'm just showing you how sometimes if you don't pay attention to what you saw,
Right.
can carry over into your future life.
Yeah.
So for me, no, my dad used to also make sure that we have something to eat. And you know, I was working, trying to make sure the home is flowing. So that was my example in a man.
Mm.
You check,
Yeah, yeah.
he never tell me don't do that. You know, that's what man does, man do. So for me, in my circle, that's what I saw, and that's why I thought, well, okay, fine, when time come, I have to do this thing.
Yeah.
So when my wife talking, I was like, wow, I never complained. She never did. She was a stay-home mom. She used to cook and make sure there was taken care of. But she never complain. I never one day she say, your father always gone. So you see the impact that would have on me, you know, in my relationship later.
Yeah.
And I had to unlearn
Yeah.
that thing and take responsibility. Of course, I didn't want to. There was a wall up there. Why? Because what I knew, you see. So I always encourage people look back at the past, check what happened.
Yeah.
You really have to relearn a lot of things, right? And don't carry things that everything that you got. There's some good things, take it. And when you but the only way, you see, everybody relationship is different.
Yeah.
I can't live my father and mother's life. You can't. And if you attempt, you go crash.
Trouble,
You
trouble,
understand?
trouble.
Because you know about your mother and your father. Your wife or your husband don't know about your mother and your father. They know about their mother and father. And that's two different households.
Where you have to leave and clean.
Oh,
You know, but one of the things I have here, as I was reflecting on this, I have here is that um, never think you're better than another married.
Ah,
it'd be foolish to think that.
yeah.
You know, never think. You know, some people they marriage thing there, but my you understand?
Yeah.
You're right. That's a dangerous
We all have our
false
challenges.
concept.
Mhm.
That you think. Exactly. You know, and it's dangerous to give the impression that your marriage is on a high
High
pedestal
level.
up here. You know, and everybody else marriage is
Lonely.
you know, and that is why I think that is why it is important to for marriage couples to fellowship. When I say that,
That's right.
because you learn from one another.
That's
That's
right.
true.
You will see, you understand,
Mm-hmm.
things that will help make your own and your marriage better.
Well, I take some negative thing from some people. Like when I was young, I had friends that was married. They're older than me, but not too older than I. And, I remember one time I went by this friend and I saw the man talking to his wife and I was like, oh, that's how he's done. No joke. And I took this thing, you understand, become a friend. And then at some point, when I got married, I was talking to my wife the same way. And I knew I think it was wrong. Understand? And I come to the realization, because I see the man do that. I don't know why they say that. I can't take this and want to carry this thing over. So you're looking at the things from your family, the things from your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And don't only watch what you watch. The important thing I will learn books and they give back to the God, God.
Oh
The
yes.
song,
Oh
they are good.
yes.
They are good preaching and teaching that will
Yes.
challenge you. So for me now, when me and my wife started reading books together and we started doing things,
Yes. We learn
our eyes
together.
started to open and it was like we started looking at each other. Like I never knew that
Looking
I
at
was
ourselves too.
and looking at ourselves. And I was like, I didn't know that I was so bad.
Mm,
I really need to work on changing this thing. You
mm,
understand? And then hard conversation, no, right? That we're talking about being naked and unashamed, right? So the conversation is hard. Sometimes it's so heavy, you have to pull back and say, okay, let me drop it. We can't go more. You're doing so much introspection of your past, and then you have to drop it literally and say, let me come back to that. Let's do something like that. Because your heart starts beating hard. Sometimes you start to go and pray. You understand? Listen, the things that most people don't want to fix, the things that makes you get a little edgy, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
The things that make you get angry when it is said, the things that make you put up a big defense.
Well,
Ask yourself, why are you putting up these walls and these
I
defenses?
put you
Why are you
in.
anger is a defense? You understand? So you have to.
let me get them ladies now.
Yeah, we talking. I agree with
Well,
you.
I feel like if
Hold
it's
on.
a good
You have a
conversation.
question here.
Is
You
what
have a
is
question.
protected.
Let's take a question here. Let's take a question. So, or it's a question. Would it increase what which can help them in a marriage? But before you answer that question, please or the other talk.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you have the answer there. I saw that in the notes you
Okay.
repeat.
We said something before.
Yeah, before you answer our
Go ahead.
question,
We had to talk about. Well, I know one thing:
love
Ah,
alive.
keep love
Right?
alive, and you know, an important thing for married people. What I learned from is being able to sit and have a meal together almost every day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Talk over
Eat
your
and
day.
talk over him.
It's
Mm-hmm.
something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's breakfast, whatever it is,
breakfast,
evening lunch,
yeah, even on
evening
Sunday, you sit down together and eat.
is a
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
That is healthy for
Mm-hmm.
family and for building relationship. And so, what the
No, Lena,
divorce?
let's just say
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
The first question is all
all
about.
right, they're trying to get us to talk. No
Yeah, yeah.
problem. Uh, yes. Well, another thing that I can probably think back on, being able to learn and understand what or how I feel appreciated. How does my husband feel appreciated?
Mm,
Right? And being able to really exercise that or do it as
right.
often as I can. So if it is that he really feels appreciated when I always say good things, compliment him often. Right? This is important to him. All right. And it's important to me too. Right. Likewise, however, your wife,
Yeah.
whatever it is that makes her feel special, if the compliments maybe, or buy her something nice, buy her chocolate. She likes chocolate. These things are important. So find out and pay attention to the details, what it is that makes your husband or your wife really happy or makes them put a smile on their face, right? Pay attention to these things and practice it as often as possible as you can. That makes them happy, then that should make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But going back to the question
Do we
on the
answer the question now?
divorce,
And bumped us up.
all
Yeah,
right,
sorry
we're
about
sorry
that.
about that. Sorry
Mhm.
about that. All right, but going back to the question on divorce, right? Seeing so many divorce, and I have to say, every time I hear about another divorce, it really, really aches my heart, whether I know the people personally or not. Divorce is really, God really does not like it, right? What advice would I give to um, couples that are heading towards divorce?
Yeah, so you say with the increase of divorce,
Hmm.
what is one thing you can share with couples which can help them in marriage? So I guess we're talking about lessons learned in marriage.
Yes.
But we have talked about quite a bit of things tonight.
I would say a lot of the things that we have
we're talking
said
about, because we're being
real thing.
we're being
relevant.
real. We're not
Relevant
reading
and-
from a
yeah.
book here. We are telling you our own personal experience, the good and the bad and the
Why
ugly.
we have remained
You
married.
understand?
Yes.
And how we end up staying through
Lessons
it
that
all.
we have learned. So
You
because
understand?
listen to that, you talk about being vulnerable.
Yep.
You talk about sitting down, having meals together.
Mhm.
We talk about a lot of things that can really help persons.
Talk about
Because
being forgiving,
yes,
very quick to forgive.
Yes.
quick to
Oh,
forgive.
and that's another.
You
Yes.
see, when you're quick to forgive, that's where you're just going to get silent treatment.
Yeah.
You have to go and make up your mind to move forward.
Mm.
Man, I get fed up at this thing because this thing don't make you feel right. When you check about it, you feel the energy you feel. When stress come upon you, in you have
It's
a
unnatural.
you have a disagreement.
Not of the spirit of God.
And
For
that's
sure.
what I'm saying. Because if you have a disagreement, and then you get so stressed by it, and you want to carry this load on your shoulder, I mean,
Well,
like, why?
I think people have to believe the word. Some people have a lot of. I wonder if sometimes people really respect and honor the word of God, and if they really realize that the word of God is true. God don't speak no idle word.
At all.
The Bible tells us that in the last days there'll be a lot of that.
True.
But what are you putting a purpose? Are you going to be part of that number?
Yep.
Are you going to be part of the number that stands on the side of God? You have to come to that conclusion in your heart and your mind.
Yeah, two of all.
Understand? Because I don't care who you are, the devil is going to come.
Of course. And if you don't understand that, listen, you're better together.
Yeah.
And two
To
is really
face
better
the
than
challenges
one.
of life.
It's better than one.
Yeah, if you don't understand that, there's so much strength in being able to work together, knowing your strengths, right? And some strengths you don't know you have yet, but God will use sometimes the person you with. I can always go back because
let me tell you something.
Hold on, let me drop that.
Before you go further,
go ahead.
I don't care who that person is. Once you have divorce, you could never be 100% happy. You understand?
Yeah.
You couldn't. I don't care. You will never be.
But the thing about it is, the thing about it is, when you're getting married and you're making your vows, divorce has nothing to do with it.
There are no divorce in your mind.
It has no. You're getting married to grow a life together and grow a family.
Right.
So that thought of divorce should not entertain it.
Yeah, and I think once you give way to that thought, it's like you know, see,
how are you going to build anything if you're always ready to run?
It's an option.
If you're always looking at an option to get out.
You're treating it as an option. So from the
you
time you say,
take time, you take patience, and that's what you learn patience in marriage. You learn if you keep forgiving. What Jesus said, 77.
Listen, you're speaking there, and you know what's coming to my mind? When you get married, I believe that God really helps you to see your faults. Being together with that other person, God exposes to you your shortcomings.
The frailty of human nature.
And we are afraid of that.
Yeah. Most of us, that's how we defend. That's how we defending so hard.
So that's why you say you're naked and you're naked.
You begin to see Lord, but a real selfish.
That is deep. Because most people don't want to admit it. You understand? So when you expose all of us, if you check, I tell you, if you check him at yourself, compared to now, brother, you would find those moments that you had before.
And the other thing is, it wouldn't happen overnight.
No,
it's over years.
See what patience comes in.
Years.
Be patient.
You have to
you understand? I say to people in year 2 when you're complaining, you're just getting to know each other. You're just maturing in this thing. Take your time and go through it. Every obstacle is for you to say, let's look at this thing.
The children come, you have to manage with the children.
Let's talk about that story.
You understand?
That's the next
and the children
lesson.
come and the children go.
That's the next
The
lesson.
emptiness syndrome.
And then you end up you go through menopause age as a woman, and then as a man you talk about something.
So we actually grew together.
Men going through
We actually grew together.
Midlife crisis.
midlife crisis. All these things, changing your hormones.
Andropause.
Andropause.
You understand?
You know?
Andropause.
Trevor pause, just and pause.
I think
Oh my goodness.
I mean we understand the Bible gives clear grounds for divorce.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the frivolous, unreconciled differences.
Yeah.
Where that garbage come from.
But you have some sympathy people who divorce for, you know.
You understand? What is unreconciled differences?
Yeah, I don't understand.
You know?
I
So
don't understand.
I could understand there are clear guidelines that Jesus gave
Yes.
for
Yes.
you can talk it in the New Testament context.
That's right.
For divorce. Right? I could understand you in a relationship with a I can't see a man saved and he abusing his wife.
That's the next
Beating
thing.
his wife.
And not even beaten.
Physically beating his wife. I mean,
He had some deliverance.
because Christ don't do that to you, boy.
Yes.
That's it.
Christ don't beat
That's why
us.
there's a reason for.
So if a man is totally submitted to the word of God, there's some lines he never
never cross. Yeah. Fear for God enough to keep
a
you.
man fear God.
That's it. If you
You
fear
keep his
God enough,
commandments.
you could feel what you want. That's the same thing I was saying earlier on.
Yeah.
When my wife say, wait, and to pray, and hear God saying, fear for God says you have to.
Yeah.
The God card is on the table,
Still,
partner.
stand still.
Stand up.
Yeah.
And behave yourself. Because if you pull a card, you expect the same thing. Most people want people to give them things, and one time for them to return it. You understand? I in decision making, for example, in relationship, I may feel strong about something. You understand? You may not feel strong about it. Where do we find the common ground?
Yeah.
You understand? Remember the last time we had a little tension, boy, and that was a lesson to learn. But we approach it different. And you know why I say, well, this is the case. I'm like, nah, no. And she's like, well, and man, and the tension was hot. It's all because of desires. She wants something. I say, yes, but not no. But she's like, no. You understand? And when it gets really hot, it was frustrating to me. Right? What's my approach? I have to pray. I say, God, I ain't getting through. I think I right. She said, well, you don't have faith. You can't see.
Well, it's initially, right? It's initially telling you.
Right?
Let's pray about it.
So, no, but that's the thing. I think she learned that lesson after. Because then she pulled a God care of me now. So I understand. I think you're well done. That was a good lesson. Thinking about it then and now. Right? How it was handled. It's like a similar situation that repeat itself, but we handle it different. That shows growth.
Yeah.
I know you didn't look at it that so. I didn't look at it so too. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes it's an opportunity for it to learn, but it could be hard. If you think about it, sometimes learning something new could be difficult for the human brain. You have to go at it multiple times. Sometimes you have to remember it. You have to, just the process of learning for some people. You have to take it and make a video out of it. You have to record the audio. You have to listen however you learn best. You have to do all of those things. So sometimes in the relationship, all of those things have to be placed. You have to put these things to work.
I think
I
think we go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking back on the things that we want to keep buried and not expose it and not be willing to work on it and change it. That to see it change over time.
Yeah.
Because as a person that's you want your marriage to work, but you have a problem. Maybe you have abusive language.
Right.
You might be hitting, but you have a problem with abusive language. There must be a willingness for change.
Right.
And when you come into a marriage, as I was listening earlier this week with T.D. Jacob, one of the people on the radio, they were saying it's two whole persons that come into a marriage. Not one half and the next, another quarter and a three quarter.
You have to kill that slogan.
My other half, not the other half.
You have your own person. You have what you enjoy. And now in the marriage, you share this.
Right. That's why you get married.
You share this.
To share yourself. What you love.
That's why you must listen to Hope FM.
That's right. Listen to Hope
in the
FM.
day. There will be some powerful
messages.
In the evening time.
Yeah.
So I am coming to marriage for you to make me better.
Wrong concept.
Yeah. You have to work on yourself even before.
That's right.
And you have to be willing to change.
Let me answer that. All I have a question here. I watched it and I left it. But he said, How is the pursuit of education or higher learning?
I don't have that.
How can a
You had that down
couple
there.
manage this in a marriage?
Yeah,
right?
she had that.
Tell
she
us.
had that.
So
Day.
he say because couples leave one another for long period in pursuit of education and opening the door to other things. So
yes, it's true.
so that's something he's
Sister
looking
Donnie,
at.
you had something there on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the learning is something that you can actually do together. Especially, it's something you do together.
That's how
And
I
if it's the
see
will
it
of
as
God,
well.
it shall be possible.
That's
right.
how I see it.
That's right.
You understand?
That's
We were
how I
talking
see it.
about
I
that the
always-
other day.
Yeah.
Right.
I always appreciate
Yeah.
that we go towards things together. Like we
But in no purpose.
Yes.
In no purpose. Right? Because God doesn't make mistake. Me and my wife are alike in a lot of ways. And we come to realize that. But it was so from the beginning. I think it was that same thing that has kind of drawn us together. Understanding. Some things, she had to walk into it. And as we stay and we grow, we learn more about each other and realize we have interest in like the same things. And the same things help us to work together. Can two work together? Let's be agree. No argument, you can work together. So we love to talk. We love to talk about relationship. We love to help people. You understand? So our heart is like, man, God know what He doing, right? So now in going forward, sometimes you need great faith for some of those things you have to go and do. Like to avoid a love mission, you'll have to go on a mission field. If your heart weren't, that's what I say. My mind can go in your mind to say, well, look, Trevor did that, I could do it too. That's not my calling. But when we understand who we are as one, and God knows why He put us together,
we have to work together.
You understand?
No, I know of, listen, I cannot see how a couple could be, like somebody has to go and study and one leaves and go for months. I cannot see this is really leaving room for a lot of error, right? What I see happening, and I've seen that with a couple recently, even if one wants to pursue studies, the other one goes along with them, all right? You could possibly get a job, right?
A tough season,
but you have to make that decision together.
The rewards will come.
You have to make that decision together. One cannot leave and go and live the other.
I think I know why. I think you see that I've seen marriage break up,
of course,
and have problem with that, and they didn't even go away.
They stayed right with you.
They stayed right in Grenada here.
One can
but they had real problems. You understand? Real problems because
you're doing a good thing, but you're doing a bad
thing.
thing.
Is, I don't know. Sometimes
you're doing a good thing, but you're doing a bad thing.
You have to be in agreement.
No, but you're doing a good thing, but you're doing a bad thing. And if you agree, then a man go make the sacrifice, a woman go make the sacrifice, and she understand.
And you have to talk about it.
2 years go be rough.
We have to stay grounded.
But even then, you still need time to fill each other's cup.
Yes.
Because if you ain't filling my cup, then my cup get empty. I get miserable. One time me and a partner used to talk and she say, boy, we could take, men, as they say, men are cycle. And it's like, yes, a bank of soldiers, and the soldiers are, we were in this conference and the man was saying it that way. Or he was in this conference. And he say, when the soldiers banking up and they stay with one place. So they didn't get attention. Men, soldiers have to match. And the soldiers not matching. Then men get frustrated. They act out. They just the human psyche of a man, how God created our bodies. And even as of a woman too. And you're married. So now your mind is in a different place. Not like you're trying to please God and you're single and so forth. But people, Bible says, if you go aside, they be for prayer and fasting. You understand? Come back together quickly. Right?
Lest you leave room.
So some people only live in room. And education is one, but there are other things, other areas where they're making room for the devil to come in. You understand? And rip off.
You see, the other side to that, especially in the times we live in now, where there is this this pursuit of higher learning and degrees and etc. That is good, but you have to. The Bible says, "Count the costs."
True.
and see what impact it could have against your relationship, your friendship. You understand? What support system is there, etc. And how you'll mitigate against the onslaught of hell.
Yes.
Because the devil knows you're gone, know you're out. And he's gonna come. He's gonna probe it.
And you go send people.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Allah is part of the probing. So let's not be unwise or ignorant, as the Bible says, concerning these devices. Let's not fool ourselves and go and you know and a dream and a wild dream that hey, I go in and everything will be great, 100%. Stop fooling. Real. Put all the cards on the table and say these are the challenges we would face.
Yes.
The enemy is going to come. Satan is going to come.
Talk about
etc.
it.
How
Discuss.
are we going to respond and manage that? Right? And you have to build in your in there your mitigation measures. I'm talking now some climate change. Build in, some mitigation measures to protect yourself. Build some resilience.
Yes, I quite agree.
Build some resilience.
You have to have some
Plan. Put
Yes.
a plan together.
Had to be, and if you know your marriage is not resilient to withstand that, forgo that.
That's it.
God is
That's
able to
it.
do for you all that and more with that knowledge that you're going to get, that degree, without you having it about your marriage is safe and secure.
Prioritizing the will of God in your relationship. Because He knows best. You understand? Sometimes people want to do it at all
selfish,
costs. You want to do it at all costs. You want it at all costs. You want it bad. You desire it.
Well,
you feel it's for good.
You make a man at all costs.
Because some people say it's for good. It's for good. If we get that house we want to build all the while, I'll get a bigger salary. Who tell you that?
But who supplies that?
Exactly. That's the
Who is your
see
source?
God as your source.
So if you see the knowledge and the degree as a source, then you have
who
a
given
problem.
that?
Right?
There are people who go and try to study and they can't focus. You take it up and your mind. Listen, I tell men, you telling me you have the brain to deny the fact that your wife or your husband is unhappy with the thing that you're doing and they go sit down. I used to go and fish a lot. Let me put it like that. I used to love to go and fish. And I like when I get a good catch. Right? Fun for me. And my wife get uncomfortable with me going and fish, especially I used to want to go somewhere. I want to go fishing so bad I go for myself. And I would go certain times and I would come back certain times, and to me, I grew up on the seaside. My father, we know them things. I go up, man, that whole things, And then all of a sudden, it's like, I don't like when you go and fish by yourself. And it's like, wow, why? You're trying to take away my last little joy. You know what I mean? And I mean, my rod pack up there. The woman are comfortable. Or they might say, well, some men, that the problem we have. Well, then your wife rule you. No, my happiness is more important.
Yeah.
When I go and fish for myself and she don't happy about it and I go.
Well, she can't be happy.
Not that. I ain't get you no fish, brother. I realize every time I go, you understand? So don't say it right, the line stress. Because I know I go and fish and she ain't really like, she ain't too happy with me going and do my thing. Right? But when I say, babes, I'm going to fish, I have to tell her in advance and where I'm going and so forth, accountability is
and it's
important.
not in the night by yourself.
And she would like me going by myself in the night.
Safe.
She would say, all right, no problem. And bro, I'm going to come back with a good catch.
Right.
You understand? So I realize when we walking together and I get in fish. And like God was speaking to me there too in that way.
Yeah.
I got 2 3 hours. I get fed up. I was like, I did long. I ain't getting nothing. My wife that calls her, she makes her go.
Excuse me.
We have a question here. Gracie says, it is better when there's a proper agreement. There's proper agreement between the two. Count the costs.
Yeah.
And also it calls for maturity. When all things have been considered. Because not every good thing or good motive is
they lead to a good end.
It's a God thing or a God motive.
Yeah.
So that's it.
She's on point.
Because it's hard. How you be comfortable doing the thing, knowing that your wife is not happy or your husband not happy? You take a lot of brain to.
It's not just that.
Yeah.
That thought could have been from the devil.
I'm telling you.
True.
To separate you.
Satan is real.
True.
I think a lot of people
Look, he bring
giving up-
Jesus, show him, look,
Well, no,
all this.
no, but
You can have
let's
It's good things.
let's talk about the portion, the favorite portion.
Yes.
Each man is drawn away and enticed,
Nice.
right?
Drawn up,
Drawn away,
drawn
and
away,
enticed,
and
Something-
then
His
it's a
own.
process.
Yeah.
It has to
What-
take something to
what you
entice
want,
Yeah.
what you want,
Yes.
your own. What you
Right.
want, is it God's will?
He dangle a piece
Are
of
you
bait
are
in
you
front
drawn
of
away and enticed by what God
Yeah.
wants for you? If that's the case, then praise the Lord.
Yeah.
But if it's not, that way you have to
Your
that's
own
the measuring
desires.
part. And this thing is applicable in marriage and
Mm.
relationship. If you cannot see the word like that, then you're missing the mark and you will you will lose.
Yeah.
You will lose.
That
So
where is the origin of that thought? Where did it came from?
Yeah.
That thing that is both in your spirit, that desire for that thing.
Mhm.
Where did it came from? You have to examine that,
That's true.
judge it, bring it to God.
Yeah.
Because the devil will set you up.
True.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, Satan is real.
True.
It's true.
Yeah.
So we ain't
He's
saying
crafty.
Let's
it's
jump
a
that. We
very
ain't saying
important point there.
yeah,
Oh,
we ain't
yes,
saying
Because a lot of marriages because
Destroyed.
are destroyed
Yes.
because somebody decided, look, I'm gonna study,
Mhm.
and
You think
this
And it
this
looks
is
like
the plan.
something good. It
This
sounds
is a
like
plan.
something good.
exactly. So
Let me tell you
marriages
something.
are
But then
destroyed.
end, everybody's
for lack of
scattered.
my
marriage.
work, I could have
Because
gone
it-
and go and study a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'll never leave my family
Nah,
and go
but
out.
that problem.
No.
Men go and
You
shit.
understand? I had
Living
many
their
opportunities for scholarship and all of that.
Yeah.
You understand?
My buddy told me the other day.
Many times.
You don't understand how married people
No.
they'll leave their husband and their wife at home and go and work on the ship.
I
He
can't see it
say,
either.
he say, buddy, I there on the ship and the things is married people doing.
Mm.
And they know,
Yeah.
but they are away.
Yeah.
And when you're not present, there's a gap, a big widening of the gap. They don't have time to bail up on him. Talking on phone, FaceTiming does not add up to
Mm-mm.
presence.
No.
Presence
No.
is important, and if
Yeah.
presence is not there in real,
You're leaving room for the
that
devil.
kind of presence where you to touch and feel and know, not presence where you're
On the
there,
phone, that's
oh,
different.
you know, I really missing you. Oh, you miss me, and you're watching me on a screen comparing to it in my present.
Mm.
That is obvious. Some people settle for that. Or visit every 5 or 6 months.
So for
Hold
young
on.
for young people,
That's
get
sacrifice.
all the knowledge and information
Early.
and
And not
degrees
just
and
that,
you could get to know.
early.
Get it early before you're married.
Before you're married.
Come with your goods.
You understand?
Yeah. Come as a whole
Come
woman,
with
a whole man.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come with your
Yeah.
goods.
I like that.
Stop this pipe dream of
Yeah.
I want to work first and all that.
Mm.
Do that while you're young. You're
Mhm.
only 20 thing, go and
That's
pursue that.
it. That's it.
Now, education
That's
is
it.
almost
I
free
see.
in Grenada.
That's it.
Your university degree is almost free.
Yes.
With SG. Go
While
and
you're
get
young,
it.
while you're young and you're
Understand?
single.
All that chicken.
All
Yes.
this scholarship the government is there
Wonderful.
for that. Go and
But you
educate
see,
yourself.
Thompson, again, like this morning, I called my son and I had to say to him, say, bro, listen, let me show you something. Let me explain my past and the flaws. Let me tell you what I didn't have
Yeah.
compared to what you have. No, right? Because sometimes when you hear class morning and evening, like, class again, daddy. Say, no, don't say that. I wish I could go back in your time, know what I know now, and fix certain things. But I can't. So you have an opportunity, and then he understands, and everything change. He has to change one time.
Yeah.
You understand? So the point I'm making is sometimes parents back then can't give what they can have, right?
Yeah.
But now our eyes are open. We have to make sure, as I learning that, we have to teach our children. If you have children in your mind, it's not about your wife alone. It's about breaking a cycle and making your family have to be better. What comes from your loins must be better. When I was 21 years old before I got married, and I told all of that before, I said, Lord, I want to be. I wasn't a Christian yet, but one day I was thinking about my family circle, and I said, Lord, I want to be a different Sabbathan. I said, Lord, I don't want to change my son in Sabbathan. My parents got married, and I still didn't change my son. I can't change it, right? Because I said I want to be a different Sabbath. That meant I didn't know what I mean at the time. I wasn't like I didn't have a relationship with God. All I know I didn't want to be when I see my family, my immediate family, my cousins, my aunt. I didn't want to be like that. Not saying I'm better than them, but I didn't want to go down the
Right.
lifestyle I saw before me. You understand? Because I was just sitting there thinking. I believe God was speaking to me at that time. I wasn't a believer, but I thought brought me to that. And then later on in life, I said, I wish I have a boy children. Because I want nobody changing him. I want them to change and I want them to be different.
Carry the
Right?
name.
So I want that to
Represent.
uplift. I want that to be. And I remember our principal said to me, well, be the one that lifts your mother's nose. Your mother have money? No, Miss Daly. Of course she name. Your mother have land? No, Miss Daly. What your parents have? Nothing, Miss Daly. I just to give you myself. Be the one to lift your mother and your father's nose. I was like, wow, that hit me like a licks again. I went and I sit down in the septic tank in the back of the school. And I cried. And my life, my mindset came at that time for me. You know what I'm saying? So it was a long battle of changing the mindset, getting ready for marriage, even at a young age, going in marriage immature, going with the five principles that they taught me in church within the first year, thinking the five pillars of marriage, man. Yes, I was ready for marriage.
You see the power of words,
Yes,
positive words.
that's it.
So
And
if
if
you
you could
pick
see
positive words
that,
in your
Visionary
marriage,
words.
yeah,
you understand?
yeah,
Visionary, make
Power
it
of
think.
words. And let's kind of see that now. You will not God word.
right.
Yeah,
That's it.
you understand?
Yeah,
That word that come from the Bible.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
But they have a biblical principle
Yes.
yeah, man.
because they spoke life.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
They were creative.
Uh-huh.
And that is why I think we as human beings who are created in the image of God, we don't understand the
Of
words.
words.
I
Be
remember
very
when I
careful.
remember when you preached just man
Yeah,
in church one
yeah.
time in 2021.
Words.
Words.
Yeah.
And most people don't see it. And in your relationship, that's a key thing to speak.
Mm.
You know, my wife and I was talking about not love. And, the kids speak some affirming words every
Yeah,
day
yeah,
about their
every day.
life, see things that they want to read the word of God with them. Affirm yourself there. You understand? I have a plan that before my children finish school, every morning when they read the Bible, they read the entire Bible. Before schooling, like secondary school. You understand? At that time, in my car, we walk with them, we read the entire Bible. So I have years to come, God's spare life and health and strength going down. But that's the plan. Right? So I made a habit in relationship is to make some positive habits. Just get some positive things that when it don't happen, somebody will ask the question, why we not doing that again?
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
And children pick up habits really fast.
Yeah,
And they're gonna remind you.
that's one of the things we had to talk about when children came in the marriage.
That
Let's
is
go
a big
there.
one. That's a big
Let's
one.
go there.
That's a big one.
That's
What
the big
changes takes
topic.
place and how you adjust to it.
That was a big
You know, that to
Yeah.
me is
something. That was a big one for me.
And
yeah,
I think that was one that
I'm
happened,
on
and I honestly learned from that
man.
because I don't think certain things were taught. It's not like if a
but
parent.
you know that I think it
Yes,
wasn't
It
taught.
it
wasn't
wasn't
that.
taught.
It
It
wasn't
was
taught.
that. They
Yes, it
had no
wasn't
way,
taught,
Yeah,
and when it happened, it just came like even
to drop,
after,
to
you're
acknowledge your
thinking
marriage
back and say, Lord,
first.
if I knew,
Oh
if
Lord.
I knew, I would have done better. If I knew, I would have done things differently.
Pray for a
A
child.
lot of things.
Lord, I want a child.
Mhm.
You're vexed you don't have a child.
Mhm.
You want a child bad. And God, you don't know why you're asking for yet. All I'm saying is a child.
Mhm.
Get a child.
you're
Your
bad to
wife,
you're bad to look at pizza clothes and
and you
think
think
like
you daddy, and you're excited. In the night time, you have to get up and hold, you have to get innovative. You have to ask the Holy Spirit to give you wisdom for a child with gas.
Yes.
I had the first that one, right?
you know,
So, all kind of thing. And then your wife
Uh,
also goes through something that you're not
yes.
aware of
postpartum.
that
Yes.
this thing happened, and you
Depression.
say, well, wait, I'm gonna make a child, and she don't. I felt so. She don't love me.
Yeah,
Man, they never tell me that.
yeah.
He said to me, I want to love you. See, everything is a child. Night and day is a child.
Body change.
You understand?
Yeah.
No, but for me, I didn't feel love
Yeah.
Yeah, you think all the
at that
attention
time.
gone to the child.
That's what I saw. And I'm like, well, what's this one? You understand? And that was another hard time for me. I didn't know how to process. I suffered that one inside.
Mm.
I didn't tell nobody all. It was just me and her.
But for a
And
young couple who just get married,
I blame
I
it.
think, and how they handle it, it's a real,
It is
it changes
real.
your whole marriage.
Yes.
So we see the best thing to do is to get information that we third knowledge of marriage. Right.
Mhm.
I would tell you that the thing that make a difference to us over the years is get information. When you get
Read.
real
Yeah, yeah, we
information,
had some.
Read.
you
We
get
thought
shoot.
we had some excellent books. We went
Yeah.
on a logos actually
Yeah,
on baby caring and all of that.
yeah.
Mhm.
We
We
got
should
some
read that book by.
by,
Sarah James
Read.
Dobson
but
Yeah,
we
from
learned
from
somebody on
zero
And
to
not
18.
just and
up
not
to 18,
Zero
0
to
to
18.
18.
okay. When you read
all
though, don't read just about the physical things because there's a lot of emotional things, a lot of things, psychological things that happen both to the woman and to the man and to the marriage,
Yeah,
around that time. You need to
both.
read,
we take a quick
read
break
a
here
lot.
because yeah, we'll take a quick
So
break.
we'll be right back. We need to finish up in just a bit.
Yeah, I know that conversation will be real to me. So just take a break right here, and we come back to
Don't
you
go anywhere. We'll be
shortly.
right back.
Alright.
Becoming one. For this reason, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his own wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Becoming One, a program designed to strengthen marriages, challenge couples, and reignite our passion for loving, godly relationships. Join us as we discuss kingdom marriage principles on Becoming One, hosted by the Sabazans. Becoming One.
So welcome back, and
We're
just
getting
blessed.
ready to close things off this evening. We have been here for a full 2 hours. It's probably minutes after 9, and we have had a very full conversation on lessons. Listen, we cannot, this program alone cannot talk about all the lessons that we have learned in our marriage. There's so many lessons that we could talk about. We could talk about whole night and the day tomorrow and the day after. If we were to sit down to have that conversation, we just would, because there are so many things that we have learned. And just before the break, we were talking about, children
Children.
coming, children coming, and that's open a whole new conversation there.
Just take
Because
a
as we
pin.
said,
We'll take one more little break, and I'll come back to you.
we'll be back.
Hey friends, when was the last time you took a walk? On Saturday, April 19th, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Hope FM Grenada, along with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council, will be walking with hope from the Old Trafford playing field in Tantine all the way down to Montrouge. Come and have a fun time. Come and have a wonderful time walking with us from 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But wait, you need to be there for 3 because we are going to be warming up, getting those legs and those arms ready for the walk. You're going to have some inspiring, wonderful gospel music on the way. And we will be walking together, having a fun time. But again, this year, we are focusing on obesity in children. Grenada needs to know. So come walk with us as Hope FM partners with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council on the fight against obesity in our children. Come, walk with us as we walk with hope.
Right? Welcome back.
Yes, guys. As we said, we're getting ready to wrap things up. So we were just ending off the conversation there on children in the mix. When children come along, what have you learned? What have we learned when children come
Well,
along?
we're still learning.
Yes,
We're still learning
very
because
true.
we're still
Our
not.
family was a blended family because before I married, I had a daughter.
Yes.
10 years,
Listen to
So we have
dynamics,
another
10 years,
right?
10 years
dynamics
before,
again.
10 years
11,
before,
yeah, 11.
that was 11,
Yeah.
11
Yeah.
years before our daughter came.
Yeah.
So, so Adonna was a step. She lived with us. She
Oh,
lived with us. So they had a very good relationship. That's one thing I admire them.
Okay.
You know, she was like, I think she traveled with us, all of that. So it was when Taffy was it was a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
but say it was challenging time.
Yes. Because that's the only girl. She's a girl,
Yeah.
and the only one for a very long time. And there comes this new baby. New set of dynamics.
But I think she was happy. She all wanted siblings, and
Yeah.
we had
Yeah. Well, for us, we had our son, as my husband said. It took we planned it. It took a little while. Things did not work out the way we wanted to. Plus, it was taking a little longer, right? As a matter of fact, the doctor told me that I had was polycystic ovaries, and then I was on this pill to try to get pregnant. This and I is what a lot of people don't know the things that we went through, and then there's the kind of pressure there on the outside. Your family telling you, when we get a grandchild, people don't know that the pressure that you have to deal with. And then, God blessed us. We had our first son. And then there was the challenge because he was a different child, I have to say. He was one of the very, very active ones. Very, very, very talkative and all over the place,
Hospital
It's like,
visits,
oh my goodness.
fall down, boss head.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this
know?
child was a challenge.
Yeah, boss head, jump out of the window.
Yes.
No,
So many
serious.
things.
Yeah, serious.
Yes,
Watch
but we've
that.
learned how to. You have to really work together,
I used to say I will grow hair.
Hey,
Do you understand? And I think, but that's with the child. But when the marriage is concerned now,
yes.
fitting the child, you
Into
have
your-
now extra monies. You have to come up with a daycare.
Yes.
You have, so much different dynamics that can stretch you, man.
Yes.
The time that your money just you reaching from hand to
Pampers.
chest, Pampers
Yeah.
taking all your money. You weren't used to
Milk.
all of that milk, expensive, and then you have
Doctor visit.
doctor visit. You have to, it's so much things.
Vaccination.
Man, listen, this thing was not easy.
And a child comes into the mix, so then with your intimacy as well, that's a
different way.
Yeah, that's a
Understand?
different.
So,
thing there.
especially intimacy for man, a lot of men just can't deal with that because you get less. You understand? And then now you have to figure out how to rebuild that again.
Yeah.
You understand? And we're talking about sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
Because, and even the intimacy that maybe your wife used to get a hug and thing, my wife didn't understand certain things too, and I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And again, that's another moment when if you don't know, man, if you're not taught, and whatever idea you have, if it's not good enough to keep your relationship going, the enemy can really come. I think it was around that time we started to realize the need for conversations like these.
Yes.
Remember? That was around that time. And then there was another time when we saw friends that we knew, good friends of ours, just divorcing and people not working together. And that kind of like said, no, we need to do something about it, So, I mean, out of adversity, both in your life and from what you see happening, you say, no, people need avenues like these. People need to hear someone talking about this thing to make them realize
we need
not
help.
be alone.
But the thing
You're
is,
not in this alone.
that's something I always try to tell parents. Don't let a baby sleep in the
And
same
push
bed.
you away.
Yeah.
Ooh, talk about that one.
Baby used to be on the bed. Baby used to be on the bed.
I get bad
us.
dubs in.
Yes.
I say, listen,
Because one,
these boys and them go on to
it's
take
kinda
my
hard to
place.
sleep properly having a baby.
Listen,
Yeah.
I say,
to
listen,
roll
I
the
don't
baby.
care who cry at the wife, the heart of the woman is different.
Yeah.
I know you want to have a
She's
baby.
soft.
The baby
She's
there.
soft and she
You
want
want
the baby to
close
stay.
to you.
Yes.
I said, listen, this child had to not in my room, not in my bed. Say, God bless us. You have a room for yourself. Let you sleep there. You will get up in the night. Mommy, afraid. Oh gosh, talk about that one. Mommy, I see a monster in the closet. Watch. I was like, yeah, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to your room and let's pray and teach them that, man, this thing was work. Sometimes now, when she's bringing back in the bedroom and stay with it, she can sleep in the bed. because I realized if you don't pay attention to that, somebody give an analogy, so and I fully understood what the person was saying, because this is separation right there. You understand? So teaching the children to stay in their bed is important, and it can be hard, but it's a habit. If you, the more you do it, it's the harder it becomes. That child is become a big man. I want to sleep between you and your wife, and tell yourself that is my place.
Yes, you have to be careful.
Well, I think we know that there are couples who still have that issue.
Yes.
And that's not good. It's not healthy. But because I think one of the things we learned earlier in the marriage is that you have to make time for yourself.
That's right.
Which means that granny or auntie have to play a role.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
You know?
And blessed are those who have granny and auntie and everybody close by.
I am so
even if it's just to go out or even for have something to eat, and relax yourself. Otherwise, that child will.
Thompson, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to God for Granny and Grandpa. You have no idea.
Yes.
Because sometimes I can't imagine.
Yes.
I know the in-laws are very important, and that's why we should never be selfish and disrespectful. And we set up parameters. We have respect. We have boundaries. But sometimes parents could kind of like act like them children too. After you're married and you're close by, they want to just come back in your house, do what they want. You understand? I remember that time I'd say something. I mean, I get like a fire, but it was understood. I didn't mean no rudeness. I didn't shout. I didn't cuss. I just said, listen, I didn't want when you come and you open that door, you might see something you don't want to see. So, please knock and wait until they say come in, and then you can come. You understand? Right? But at first you can hit them hard. But I think when they think about it, it's not that you're being disrespectful. It's just principle and respect and rules that your wife no longer your daughter in your house. She's my wife in my house, in our house. So, you have to respect that. But I'm so grateful for the grandparents. And for those of you who don't have, I understand how terrible it can be sometimes when you have to, that's a blessing for the grandparents.
Yeah, I would even go further to say that if you have grandparents as an option instead of a DK, you should use it. I mean, as I'm saying, as an option. I'm not saying because the care that they will give to that child cannot be found. So I don't have them do it for free.
What's the downside?
Yeah,
what's the downside? Possible downside.
Well, the downside is that of course they will
spoil them.
They will spoil them.
Yeah,
but it preserves you from a lot of stress and things.
True.
Having to rush to pick them up. Sicknesses and that's going around.
They more healthy because they have
and you feel good that it's the grandpa. You feel more comfortable that they are more safe.
In my address,
give them that money instead of giving it to the DK or whatever, and let them don't figure you don't want it because we could take up some positions that
working against you.
Really, man, it's not. You have to be so careful in this life.
Well, I guess I'm saying here they need a part 2 and a part 3 of this
conversation. We ain't touched nothing major.
Oh my!
So you have to go
Look, it's 9:30 already.
Side. Maybe we'll next part 2 probably might invite a 2 younger couple who probably at a different stage and hear what they have learned thus far. 2 years, probably a 2-year-old married couple if they're willing to come. It'll be nice. You know what I mean? But I think we need to wrap up. Because we're going to go to 10 o'clock very easy tonight.
Yes.
All right? But guys, even as we get ready to go, don't forget tomorrow, God's willing, is a packed day at Hope FM. You want to jump in early in the morning for the Kingdom Ride with Christine and DJ Soul Construction. We also have at 11:30, Grace Divine and
DJ Noel.
Hope Elevation. We have a good friend dropping by tomorrow, a new DJ in the studio tomorrow. So you want to jump
Connect.
in to see what's happening.
Yes.
You understand? New DJ, new MC joining us. So tomorrow going to be very nice and Hope on the Hill in the latter part of the evening.
She'll be in with us.
Yes. And of course, for all the married people, coming up in October this year, October 24th, 25th, 26th, is about the Epic Marriage Conference. And the theme this year is
Defending the cause.
And we talked about some things tonight in terms of how we can defend our marriage against, many things.
Outside forces.
So much things, sometimes
Preserve
inside
it.
forces too, if you're not careful. Not only the outside one, but you need to know who the real enemy is so that you can actually, build a strong marriage, one that is really fortified by God's help, His word, the Spirit of God, and you can be all that God has aspired to for you and your family to be. It's not about you. At the end of the day, it's about generations to come and how we can change you
through the kingdom.
Where God starts with us and our family, and it spreads out just the same. So much principles to teach, so much of God's word, so much truth to pass on. Let's focus on that. And don't let the lies of the enemy tie up our heads and cause us to shoot at our spouse and to look at them as the worst thing and like they are your enemy. When you have that mindset, your marriage will go down. But when you realize you're working together, man, there's wins there. So let me allow the Thompsons to give some final words and we'll wrap it up right there.
Donna, give some final words.
It was really good being here tonight. It's a lot to talk about the experience over the years. We have only touched a few.
Only
things,
a few. There's so
but
much more.
I trust that it was beneficial to you all. Something to learn from.
Yes, definitely.
And I just want to say, keep love alive.
Oh yes,
I like that. Also, somebody
giving out on this program, it drains you, man.
Vacation tours and winter says yes, Trevor looks sleepy, but excellent topic.
All right.
So guys, do enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you so much for joining us again on Becoming One.
God bless you.
Good night.
Love and honor.
Respect for each other.
Difficult conversations.
Godly relationships.
Let's talk about sex.
I really want to see marriages thriving.
It hurts to see broken relationships.
Let's build marriages together.
Becoming one.